such a process, but we are live now on YouTube in both horizontal and vertical. As always, I'm just gonna remind you guys, my Twitch chat, how incredibly awesome and helpful it is if any of you are able to open up the YouTube stream, whether it's just like in a lurk or, you know, just like on your third monitor or whatever, just drop an alert over there. Really helps with the watch hours. Also, if you have not subbed to my YouTube channels, that helps so much as well. It means the world to me. Thank you, Luna. Thank you. And Electric Bees, hi. Yes, happy St. Patrick's Day. Now, if you were around yesterday, you know that we celebrated St. Patrick's Day last night because we did our monthly bonus mythology stream, and we read more Irish mythology. It's not the first time we've read Irish mythology on stream, and it will not be the last because I love it. We read stories from Finn McCool. I just uploaded a minorly edited version of the VOD up on the YouTube channel just before stream started, but I think it's still like processing, so I don't know if it's like actually accessible yet, but it will be soon. Like, it has been uploaded with a very slapdash thumbnail that I need to fix. But anyways, if you want to listen to those stories, if you missed out on them, they're either up on the YouTube now or they will be very soon. Hi Durgo, made it to LA. No one worries about the thumbnail. Bro, I grabbed a screenshot. I just snagged and like I just screenshotted a frame from the video. So it's fine. It's fine. I did not remove the tangents in TED Talks. I kept a lot of like the first like at least like 20 minutes is us just like chatting about Irish mythology. But I trimmed out like in the first section anywhere where it's like someone's rating in or talking about something not to do with Irish mythology. But once we hit like the reading portion, I ran out of time to even keep editing, so that's completely untouched. Could just do video. I mean, yeah, but I was waiting for it to export anyways. Thank you, Milu. It has wolf ears. Hi, Grands over on YouTube. And Elizabeth, thank you for chatting over on the YouTube. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have. I ate that without thinking. Mark, hello. Hello, welcome back. It does have pockets. It's actually quite big and baggy. It makes me feel like I'm wearing like a whole bear skin. Very cozy. Elizabeth, thank you so much for the 100 biddies. We are back to hopefully finish. That's the goal. Obviously, you never know what's gonna happen with me, which if you were around a couple streams ago, you know exactly what I mean. But the goal is definitely to read all of it. But I am thinking because we were into chapter 6 when Mike Merkins died. It started over? Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. I think we were like fairly into it, but Yeah, maybe we should just start it over. Okay. Which means we have 4 chapters to get through tonight. The inline emote picking for YouTube really stinks. I know there's some things I could be doing to personalize the YouTube more, and I think even more if I get the partner program unlocked. But yeah. And just I will mention this later as well, but just a little reminder for anyone who is watching on YouTube. Over the next 4 streams, so the next like weekish, I'm gonna be out of town for personal reasons. I will be streaming, but my laptop cannot handle multi-streaming, so I will just be streaming on my Twitch account. We're gonna hold off on starting a whole new book until I'm back home. I may do some reading of like short stories, but we'll play it by ear. I'm gonna see if I can maybe instead just like get some reading edited and posted, but it really depends on how things are going. Again, I'm not going into it, but there's some stressful and quite sad family stuff going on. Anyways, we'll play it by ear. Hi, Donald. Buddha. Buddha. Okay, so we it does look very cozy. It is really cozy. You have so many books to read, Brian. That is a whole mood. That's just the status of my life. Okay, so we are reading Behind a Mask, or A Woman's Power, which is written by Anne Barnard, aka Louisa May Alcott, aka the author of Little Women. It is a story, this is just going to be a brief catch you up. It's a story about a rich family in England who has a big estate out in the country, and they hire a governess for their 16-year-old daughter. Along with that 16-year-old daughter, there is a son, Edward, and then the eldest son, Gerald, is the heir to the estate. Their mother lives there, their father has passed, their uncle also lives in a separate house on the estate. And, can you define governess? Is it a teacher? It's like a mixture of, lessons, like school lessons, but also like comportment lessons, like manners, and even like how to like curtsy, or like things like that like well-to-do ladies would need to know. And sometimes governesses would start when the children were quite young, so of course the duties of a governess would change with age, but certainly lessons would be part of it. It has it's been mentioned in this book that Jean is teaching Bella like French and mathematics or something, also music, you know, so it's just kind of like lessons, also skills, talents, manners. Yeah, like Maria from The Sound of Music, a crossover between a teacher and a nanny. Yeah. And often in some cases could become like a decent friend, of course, with this weird knowledge of like this gap between them in terms of station, but governesses would often be like considered to be like a higher standing than a lady's maid, right? Yeah, because they would need to be like quite like decently bred, know all like the manners and such themselves. So yeah, And okay, so here's the juicy meat of the story, okay? We know that Jean Muir is a big old liar. She's a full-on liar. She is not a 19-year-old well-bred governess. She's a 30-year-old actress who's missing a bunch of teeth. And she is systematically working her way through the members of this family, winning them over in different ways. And there's this tension behind all the interactions because they just are like, oh yeah, Jean, she's great. The younger brother falls madly in love with her and wants to marry her. She turns him down. Like, there's all this drama going on. But we know that she's fucking with them all. And we don't know why yet. We don't know what her motives are. We don't know what her end goal is. Certainly, she's putting a lot of effort into winning over Gerald, the eldest son and heir to the estate. Now, he did not like her at all when she first arrived. He was very disinterested, but she has captivated him, and he is also starting to get very annoyed with Lucia, his cousin, to whom he was not officially betrothed, but there was an expectation. So Lucia now hates Jean. Edward has been sent away because he was too in love with Jean. Yeah. But also, part of me is wondering if she's trying to, like, is her goal to make Gerald fall in love with her? But also, she's also winning over the older uncle. I don't know what her game is there. It's very interesting. So yeah, we are going to be reading that. Oh, also part of her story, and we don't know if this is true or not, is that the previous family she worked for, the Sidneys, that the son of that family fell violently in love with her and is like kind of threatening to like assault her, take her virtue, like she's actually like fearing for her life a bit. So, but how much of that is true, I have no idea. So, now, regardless of which chat you're in, you should see a pinned comment if you would like to read along on the page while I read. You can find this book there for absolutely free, from Project Gutenberg. And we are going to be starting with chapter 6. Now, we did start reading chapter 6 a couple days ago, but then I like almost fainted and we had to cut stream short. So I'm just going to start chapter 6 over again. You don't see it pinned? Really? Wait, I thought I did. Oh shit. I thought I did. Okay, let me do it. Let me just scroll up and okay. Pin message. There we go. Thank you, Sean. Let me pin that. So stupid that mods cannot pin messages on YouTube. Just straight dumb. Alright. Okay. Alright. Let's get into it. Okay, Milu. Thank you for the lurk. Alright. So we are starting with chapter 6, On the Watch. If you please, Mr. Coventry, did you get the letter last night? Were the first words that greeted the young master as he left his room next morning. What letter, Dean? I don't remember any, he answered, pausing, for something in the maid's manner struck him as peculiar. Oh, it came just as you left for the hall, sir. Benson ran after you with it, as it was marked haste. Didn't you get it, sir? Asked the woman anxiously. Yes, but upon my life, I forgot all about it till this minute, It's in my other coat, I suppose, if I've not lost it. That absurd masquerading put everything else out of my head. And speaking more to himself than to the maid, Coventry turned back to look for the missing letter. Hi, Nat. Hello. Good to see you. I'm just gonna move that over there. Okay. Now, Dean remained where she was, apparently busy about the arrangement of the curtains at the hall window, but furtively watching, meanwhile, with a most unwanted air of curiosity. Not there, I thought so, she muttered, as Coventry impatiently thrust his hand into one pocket after another. But as she spoke, an expression of amazement appeared in her face, for suddenly the letter was discovered. Oh, I could have sworn it wasn't there. I don't understand it, but she's a deep one, or I'm much deceived. And Dean shook her head like one perplexed, but not convinced. Coventry uttered an exclamation of satisfaction on glancing at the address and, standing where he was, tore open the letter. Dear C, I'm off to Baden. Come and join me. Then you'll be out of harm's way. For if you fall in love with J.M., and you can't escape if you stay where she is, you will incur the trifling inconvenience of having your brains blown out by yours truly, F.R. Sidney. The man is mad, ejaculated Coventry, staring at the letter while an angry flush rose to his face. What the deuce does he mean by writing to me in that style? Join him? Not I. And as for the threat, I laugh at it. Poor Jean. This headstrong fool seems bent on tormenting her. Well, Dean, what are you waiting for? He demanded, as if suddenly conscious of her presence. Oh, nothing, sir. I only stopped to see if you found the letter. Beg pardon, sir. And she was moving on when Coventry asked, with a suspicious look, what made you think it was lost? You seem to take an uncommon interest in my affairs today. Oh, no. Dear, no, sir. I felt a bit anxious. Benson is so forgetful, and it was me who sent him after you, for I happened to see you go out, so I felt responsible. Being marked that way, I thought it might be important, so I asked about it. Very well. You can go, Dean. It's all right, you see. I'm not so sure of that, muttered the woman as she curtsied respectfully and went away, looking as if the letter had not been found. Yep, so basically, Jean has, and we don't know if this is true or not, but Jean has told Coventry that Sidney, this gentleman of the family she used to work for, fell in love with her, and she refused him, and he tormented her and threatened her, and made her so miserable that she tried to kill herself and was in the hospital because of that. And Sidney has just written to Coventry, basically saying, hey, I'm going away on vacation or whatever, you should come and join me, because you should not stay where you are, because if you stay where you are, you will fall in love with Jean, and if you fall in love with Jean, I'm gonna fucking kill you. Which is a crazy thing to write in such a polite gentleman's letter. Hi, Mr. Rodboy. Hello. Hello. Yeah, kind of intense. A little bit intense. Now, Dean was Miss Beaufort's maid. A grave, middle-aged woman with keen eyes and a somewhat grim air. Having been long in the family, she enjoyed all the privileges of a faithful and favorite servant. She loved her young mistress with an almost jealous affection. She watched over her with the vigilant care of a mother and resented any attempted interference on the part of others. At first, she had pitied and liked Jean Weir. Then, distrusted her, and now heartily hated her as the cause of the increased indifference of Coventry toward his cousin. Dean knew the depth of Lucia's love, and though no man in her eyes was worthy of her mistress, still, having honored him with her regard, Dean felt bound to like him, and the late change in his manner disturbed the maid almost as much as it did the mistress. She watched Jean narrowly, causing that amiable creature much amusement, but little annoyance as yet, for Dean's slow English wit was no match for the subtle mind of the governess. On the preceding night, Dean had been sent up to the hall with costumes, and had there seen something which much disturbed her. She began to speak of it while undressing her mistress, but Lucia, being in an unhappy mood, had so sternly ordered her not to gossip that the tale remained untold, and she was forced to bide her tune. Now we'll see how she looks after it, but there's not much to be got out of her face, the deceitful hussy, thought Dean, marching down the corridor and knitting her black brows as she went. Good morning, Mrs. Dean. I hope you are none the worse for last night's frolic. You had the work and we the play, said a blithe voice behind her, and turning sharply, she confronted Miss Muir. Fresh and smiling, the governess nodded with an air of cordiality, which would have been irresistible with anyone but Dean. I'm quite well, thank you, miss, she returned coldly, as her keen eye fastened on the girl, as if to watch the effect of her words. I had good rest when the young ladies and gentlemen were at supper, for while the maids cleared up, I sat in the little anteroom. Yes, I saw you, and feared you'd take cold. Very glad you didn't. How is Miss Beaufort? She seemed rather poorly last night, was the tranquil reply, as Jean settled the little frills about her delicate wrists. The cool question was a return shot for Dean's hint that she had been where she could oversee the interview between Coventry and Miss Muir. She is a bit tired, as any lady would be after such an evening. People who are used to play acting wouldn't mind it, perhaps, but Miss Beaufort don't enjoy romps as much as some do. The emphasis upon certain words made Dean's speech as impertinent as she desired. But Jean only laughed, and as Coventry's step was heard behind them, she ran downstairs, saying blandly, but with a wicked look, I won't stop to thank you now, lest Mr. Coventry should bid me good morning, and so increase Miss Beaufort's indisposition. Dean's eyes flashed as she looked after the girl with a wrathful face, and went her way, saying grimly, I'll bide my time, but I'll get the better of her yet. Fancying himself quite removed from last night's absurdity, yet curious to see how Jean would meet him, Coventry lounged into the breakfast room with his usual air of listless indifference. A languid nod and murmur was all the reply he vouchsafed to the greetings of cousin, sister, and governess, as he sat down and took up his paper. Have you had a letter from Ned? Asked Bella, looking at the note which her brother still held. No, was the brief answer. Who then? You look as if you had received bad news. There was no reply, and peeping over his arm, Bella caught sight of the seal and exclaimed, in a disappointed tone, Oh, it is the Sydney crest. I don't care about the note now. Men's letters to each other are not interesting. Miss Muir had been quietly feeding one of Edward's dogs, but at the name she looked up and met Coventry's eyes, coloring so distressfully that he pitied her. Why he should take the trouble to cover her confusion he did not stop to ask himself, but seeing the curl of Lucia's lip, he suddenly addressed her with an air of displeasure. Oh my goodness! my goodness. Hi, Squishy. Hello, Raiders. Wow. Welcome in, everyone. Hello, hello. It is so lovely to have you join us. Hello, 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 hello. Hi. Oh my goodness. You guys. I don't know if she needs no introduction. But just in case, if there is any chance you're not following Squishy, who is just an iconic ASMR streamer in this space, make sure you're dropping a follow. She is so cozy, so tingly, and wonderfully pink. You heading out, Squishy. Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome in, everyone. I am Faolkor. If this is your first time here, I do a mixture of traditional ASMR triggers that do tend to be kind of on the chattier, soft-spoken side, and also including that is reading. We like to do a lot of story time. So you have come into the reading section. Pink hair again? Oh, heck yeah. That's awesome. That feels right. That feels right. Yes, we do, we read a whole range of things from the public domain, a whole bunch of genres. We are currently reading such a good book. I'm enjoying it so, so much. It's called Behind a Mask, and it was written by the same author who wrote Little Women, only she was writing under a pen name at the time, so that people would think it was written by a man, because that, helped things sell back in the day. And it's about a rich family who hires a governess, but we, the readers, know that the governess is actually an actress, and she's fooling them all, and we don't know why yet, but there's wonderful, incredible, dramatic irony, because all these interactions, which on the surface seem fairly straightforward, we know that she's got ulterior motives, but we don't know what they are yet. It's excellent. Oh yeah, pen names are still very common, yeah. And I hate to say it, but honestly, there are still female authors who choose to use initials instead of their more obviously female names, because it can help with sales. Crazy enough, that's still a thing. Is your name inspired by the luck dragon from Neverending Story? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I absolutely love the Neverending Story. So, Rick over on YouTube, I'm Faolkor. Hello. Yes, we are also live on YouTube. I have 2 YouTube channels, one of which, the one I'm live on now, is just for the reading segments, and we've got some playlists over there. It's newer, so I'm still working on building up the archive, but if you're looking for some more books, last night we read Irish mythology for St. Patrick's Day, and then I have a second YouTube channel for the more traditional ASMR triggers. Yeah. All right. Well, welcome in, you guys. Get cozy for story time. Malum, thank you for that streak. Thank you, thank you. Rinch, hello over on YouTube. Hi. Okay, so they're at the breakfast table. Gerald Coventry, the eldest son and heir, has received a letter from Mr. Sidney, whom Miss Muir, the governess, who's actually an actress, has told him is in love with her. And that seems to be the case, although there is a chance that maybe they're in cahoots and Sydney's acting a part too. I don't know. We don't know yet. But yes, please feel free to get cozy. We are focusing more on the reading tonight, because I'm hoping to finish this book tonight. We've got 3 more chapters after this one, but over the next week we're going to be focusing more on ASMR triggers and less on reading. So yeah, All right. Good vibes. Oh, I'm glad you think so. I'm glad you think so, Mega. Oh, thank you for the stretch. Hi, Soup. Hello. Good to see you. Oof. Oof. Hey, Phoenix. Good to see you. Oh, yes. And if any of you would like to read along with me, there's a pinned comment where you can find this book for absolutely free on Project Gutenberg. You can download it for your e-reader or just a PDF, or even open it just in a browser tab to read along if you'd like. Okay. Okay, so we're at the breakfast table. We've got Gerald Coventry, eldest son. We've got Jean Weir, the governess, who's actually an actress. We've got Lucia Beaufort, Gerald's cousin, and not officially betrothed, but it was kind of expected, and Lucia is very much wanting to marry Gerald. And then we've got Bella, who is Gerald's younger sister. You like my jacket? Thank you. Thank you, Rick. Okay. Alright, so he has received a letter from Sydney. Jean has seen this. She looks distressed. Why he should take the trouble to cover her confusion, he did not stop to ask himself, but seeing the curl of Lucia's lip, he suddenly addressed her with an air of displeasure. Do you know that Dean is getting impertinent? She presumes too much on her age and your indulgence, and forgets her place. What has she done? Asked Lucia coldly. She troubles herself about my affairs, and takes it upon herself to keep Benson in order. Here Coventry told about the letter, and the woman's evident curiosity. Poor Dean. She gets no thanks for reminding you of what you had forgotten. Next time she will leave your letters to their fate, and perhaps it will be as well, if they have such a bad effect upon your temper, Gerald. Lucia spoke calmly, but there was an angry color in her cheek as she rose and left the room. Coventry looked much annoyed, for on Jean's face he detected a faint smile, half pitiful, half satirical, which disturbed him more than his cousin's insinuation. Bella broke the awkward silence by saying, with a sigh, Poor Ned, I do so long to hear again from him. I thought a letter had come for some of us. Dean said she saw one bearing his writing on the hall table yesterday. She seems to have a mania for inspecting letters. I won't allow it. What was the letter for, Bella? Said Coventry, putting down his paper. Well, she wouldn't or couldn't tell, but looked very cross and told me to ask you. Very odd. Well, I've had none, began Coventry. But I've had one several days ago. Will you please read it, and my reply? And as she spoke, Jean laid 2 letters before him. Certainly not. It would be dishonorable to read what Ned intended for no eyes but your own. You are too scrupulous in one way, and not enough so in another, Miss Muir. And Coventry offered the letters with an air of grave decision, which could not conceal the interest and surprise he felt. You are right. Mr. Edward's note should be kept sacred, for in it the poor boy has laid bare his heart to me. But mine I beg you will read, that you may see how well I try to keep my word to you. Oblige me in this, Mr. Coventry. I have a right to ask it of you. So urgently she spoke, so wistfully she looked, that he could not refuse, and, going to the window, read the letter. It was evidently an answer to a passionate appeal from the young lover, and was written with consummate skill. As he read, Gerald could not help thinking, if this girl writes in this way to a man whom she does not love, with what a world of power and passion would she write to one whom she did love? And this thought kept returning to him, as his eye went over line after line of wise argument, gentle reproof, good counsel, and friendly regard. Reading is good and soothing to me. Oh, Rick, I'm so glad. And Eric, thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying it. It was written with consummate V's. I said consummate V's. Here and there, a word, a phrase, betrayed what she had already confessed, and Coventry forgot to return the letter as he stood wondering who was the man whom Jean loved. The sound of Bella's voice recalled him, for she was saying, half kindly, half petulantly, "Don't look so sad, Jean. Ned will outlive it, I dare say. You remember you once said men never died of love, though women might. Well, in his one note to me, he spoke so beautifully of you and begged me to be kind to you for his sake, that I tried to be with all my heart. Though if it was anyone but you, I really think I should hate them for making my dear boy so unhappy. You are too kind, Bella, and I often think I'll go away to relieve you of my presence. But unwise and dangerous as it is to stay, I haven't the courage to go. I've been so happy here." And as she spoke, Jean's head dropped lower over the dog as it nestled to her affectionately. "Anthony, hello, hello." Before Bella could utter half the loving words that sprang to her lips, Coventry came to them with all languor gone from face and mien, and laying Jean's letter before her, he said, with an undertone of deep feeling in his usually emotionless voice, "A right womanly and eloquent letter, but I fear it will only increase the fire it was meant to quench. I pity my brother more than ever now." "Shall I send it?" asked Jean, looking straight up at him like one who had entire reliance on his judgment. "Yes, I have not the heart to rob him of such a sweet sermon upon self-sacrifice. Shall I post it for you?" "Thank you. In a moment." And with a grateful look, Jean dropped her eyes. Producing her little purse, she selected a penny, folded it in a bit of paper, and then offered both letter and coin to Coventry, with such a pretty air of business that he could not control a laugh. "So you won't be indebted to me for a penny? What a proud woman you are, Miss Muir." "I am." "What? Hello? What was that? What was that noise? You okay?" "I am. It's a family failing." And she gave him a significant glance, which recalled to him the memory of who she was. He understood her feeling and liked her the better for it, knowing that he would have done the same had he been in her place. It was a little thing, but if done for effect, it answered admirably, for it showed a quick insight into his character on her part, and betrayed to him the existence of a pride in which he sympathized heartily. He stood by Jean a moment, watching her as she burnt Edward's letter in the blaze of the spirit lamp under the urn. "Why do you do that?" he asked involuntarily. "Because it is my duty to forget," was all her answer. "Can you always forget when it becomes a duty?" "I wish I could. I wish I could." She spoke passionately, as if the words broke from her against her will, and rising hastily, she went into the garden, as if afraid to stay. Oh, sorry, I was talking to my guinea pigs. I don't know if you could hear the little noise they made. So what this is referencing is that Jean, who does spend one-on-one time with the uncle, who lives in a separate house on the estate, she goes to read to him. He likes hearing history books read to him. And in a conversation between the uncle and Gerald, the uncle said that Jean let slip that she's actually this like noble-born daughter of this like well-known noblewoman that had died, and her child had been like orphaned or sent abroad or whatever. And so like no proof has been shown, but the uncle firmly believes it. He told Gerald believes it, that she is the daughter of Lady Howard but she has begged Gerald not to tell any of the others because she doesn't want people knowing that she's actually, like, really highborn. Of course, all of this is most likely complete bullshit. Like, she's faking a lot, right? So, any horses? Not so far. Not so far. All right. Oh, Julia, thank you for the follow. Thank you, thank you. This plan can't possibly fail. I mean, we shall see. We don't even know yet, like, what her ultimate goal is. So, yeah, we've been keeping an eye on the horses for sure. Yeah, the most simple explanation is that she's trying to marry Gerald, who is the eldest son and the heir to the estate. That is the most simple explanation. But the thing is, if she actually got involved with him, it would be pretty clear pretty quickly that she's not who she says she is, because she, like, puts on a bunch of makeup and she's telling them all that she's 19 years old, but we saw this scene where she goes into the room and she wipes off all her makeup and she takes out a bunch of fake teeth, and, like, if they got married, like, he would soon realize, like, wait, I don't know. And then wouldn't they be able to, like, get the marriage annulled? Like, that just does not seem like a foolproof plan. I don't know. Hi, Dot. Are you shopping? Oh my god, Shay. Yeah, everyone is, green. Okay. Poor dear Jean is very unhappy about something, but I can't discover what it is. Last night I found her crying over a rose, and now she runs away, looking as if her heart was broken. I'm glad I've got no lessons. What kind of a rose? Asked Coventry from behind his paper as Bella paused. A lovely white one. I must have come from the hall. We have none like it. I wonder if Jean was ever going to be married, and lost her lover, and felt sad because the flower reminded her of bridal roses. Coventry made no reply, but felt himself change countenance as he recalled the little scene behind the rose hedge, where he gave Jean the flower which she had refused, yet taken. Presently, to Bella's surprise, he flung down the paper, tore Sydney's note to atoms, and rang for his horse with an energy that amazed her. Why, Gerald, what has come over you? One would think Ned's restless spirit had suddenly taken possession of you. What are you going to do? I'm going to work, was the unexpected answer, as Coventry turned toward her with an expression so rarely seen on his fine face. What has waked you up all at once? Asked Bella, looking more and more amazed. You did, he said, drawing her toward him. I? When? How? Do you remember saying once that energy was better than beauty in a man, and that no one could respect an idler? I never said anything half so sensible as that. Jean said something like it once, I believe, but I forgot. Are you tired of doing nothing at last, Gerald? Yes. I neglected my duty to Ned till he got into trouble, and now I reproach myself for it. It's not too late to do other neglected tasks, so I'm going at them with a will. Don't say anything about it to anyone, and don't laugh at me, for I'm in earnest, Belle. I know you are, and I admire and love you for it, my dear old boy, cried Bella enthusiastically, as she threw her arms about his neck and kissed him heartily. What will you do first? She asked, as he stood thoughtfully smoothing the bright head that leaned upon his shoulder, with that new expression still clear and steady in his face. I'm going to ride over the whole estate and attend to things, as a master should. Not leave it all to Bent, of whom I've heard many complaints, but have been too idle to inquire about them. I shall consult Uncle, and endeavour to be all that my father was in his time. Is that a worthy ambition, dear? Oh, Gerald, let me tell Mamma. It will make her so happy. You are her idol, and to hear you say these things, to see you look so like dear Papa, would do more for her spirits than all the doctors in England. Wait till I prove what my resolution is worth. When I've really done something, then I'll surprise Mamma with a sample of my work. Of course you'll tell Lucia? Not on any account. It is a little secret between us, so keep it till I give you leave to tell it. But Jean will see it at once. Well, she knows everything that happens. She is so quick and wise. Do you mind her knowing? I don't see that I can help it if she is so wonderfully gifted. Let her see what she can, I don't mind her. Now, I'm off. And with a kiss to his sister, a sudden smile on his face, Coventry sprang upon his horse and rode away at a pace which caused the groom to stare after him in blank amazement. Hi, Emma, thank you. Thank you so much. Am I a witch? Yep. Definitely. Nothing more was seen of him till dinner time, when he came in so exhilarated by his brisk ride and busy morning that he found some difficulty in assuming his customary manner, and more than once astonished the family by talking animatedly on various subjects which, till now, had always seemed utterly uninteresting to him. Lucia was amazed, his mother delighted, and Bella could hardly control her desire to explain the mystery. But Jean took it very calmly and regarded him with the air of one who said, I understand, but you will soon tire of it. This nettled him more than he would confess, and he exerted himself to silently contradict that prophecy. Have you answered Mr. Sidney's letter? Asked Bella, when they were all scattered about the drawing-room after dinner. No, answered her brother, who was pacing up and down with restless steps, instead of lounging near his beautiful cousin. Well, I ask because I remembered that Ned sent a message for him in my last note, as he thought you would know Sidney's address. Here it is, something about a horse. Please put it in when you write. And Bella laid the note on the writing table nearby. Well, I'll send it at once and have done with it, muttered Coventry, and, seating himself, he dashed off a few lines, sealed and sent the letter, and then resumed his march, eyeing the three young ladies with three different expressions as he passed and repassed. Lucia sat apart, feigning to be intent upon a book, and her handsome face looked almost stern in its haughty composure, for though her heart ached, she was too proud to own it. Bella now lay on the sofa, half asleep, a rosy little creature, as unconsciously pretty as a child. Miss Muir sat in the recess of a deep window, in a low lounging chair, working at an embroidery frame with a graceful industry pleasant to see. Of late she had worn colors, for Bella had been generous in gifts, and the pale blue muslin which flowed in soft waves about her was very becoming to her fair skin and golden hair. The close braids were gone, and loose curls dropped here and there from the heavy coil wound around her well-shaped head. The tip of one dainty foot was visible, and a petulant little gesture which now and then shook back the falling sleeve gave glimpses of a round white arm. Ned's great hound lay nearby. The sunshine flickered on her through the leaves, and as she sat, smiling to herself, while the dexterous hands shaped leaf and flower, she made a charming picture of all that is most womanly and winning, a picture which few men's eyes would not have liked to rest upon. Another chair stood near her, and as Coventry went up and down, a strong desire to take it possessed him. He was tired of his thoughts and wished to be amused by watching the changes of the girl's expressive face, listening to the varying tones of her voice, and trying to discover the spell which so strongly attracted him in spite of himself. Hi, Logatone. Oh, it's actually not a shawl, it's a vest that has wolf ears on the hood. Hi, Eric. Hello. Oh, Rick, I'm so glad. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Yeah, as Sean said, I would love to read Game of Thrones, but on stream, but needs to be in the public domain. Yeah. Starless Cookie, hello, welcome in. Hi, Uberku. Also, Azo Enforcer, thank you for the follow. Sorry, I think I was fixated on the text when you followed, but welcome, thank you. All right. Hi, Endel. More than once, he swerved from his course to gratify his whim, but Lucia's presence always restrained him, and with a word to the dog or a glance from the window as pretext for a pause, he resumed his walk again. Something in his cousin's face reproached him, but her manner of late was so repellent that he felt no desire to resume their former familiarity, and, wishing to show that he did not consider himself bound, he kept aloof. It was a quiet test of the power of each woman over this man. They instinctively felt it, and both tried to conquer. Lucia spoke several times and tried to speak frankly and affably, but her manner was constrained, and Coventry, having answered politely, relapsed into silence. Hi, Leia. Good to see you. And Tyra, hi. And Miss Snapester, didn't know anyone did this. So cool. Well, welcome in. Welcome. Yeah, I do reading on both Twitch and YouTube, along with traditional ASMR triggers, just general cozy vibes, a few times a week. Okay. Jean said nothing, but silently appealed to eye and ear by the pretty picture she made of herself, the snatches of song she softly sang, as if forgetting that she was not alone, and a shy glance now and then, half wistful, half merry, which was more alluring than graceful figure or sweet voice. When she had tormented Lucia and tempted Coventry long enough, she quietly asserted her supremacy in a way which astonished her rival, who knew nothing of the secret of her birth, which knowledge did much to attract and charm the young man. Letting a ball of silk escape from her lap, she watched it roll toward the promenader, who caught and returned it with an alacrity which added grace to the trifling service. As she took it, she said, in the frank way that never failed to win him, "I think you must be tired, but if exercise is necessary, employ your energies to some purpose and put your mother's basket of silks in order. They are in a tangle, and it will please her to know that you did it, as your brother used to do." "Hercules at a distaff," said Coventry gaily, and down he sat in the long-desired seat. Jean put the basket on his knee, and as he surveyed it, as if daunted at his task, she leaned back and indulged in a musical little peal of laughter, charming to hear. Lucia sat dumb with surprise to see her proud, indolent cousin obeying the commands of a governess, and looking as if he heartily enjoyed it. In 10 minutes she was as entirely forgotten as if she had been miles away, for Jean seemed in her wittiest, gayest mood, and as she now treated the young master like an equal, there was none of the former meek timidity. Yet often her eyes fell, her color changed, and the piquant sallies faltered on her tongue as Coventry involuntarily looked deep into the fine eyes which had once shone on him so tenderly in that mimic tragedy. He could not forget it, and though neither alluded to it, the memory of the previous evening seemed to haunt both and lend a secret charm to the present moment. Why are you whispering? I am speaking fairly quietly because on Twitch I'm streaming actually in the ASMR category, and a lot of people like to use this kind of content to fall asleep to. So yeah, it's a wonderful position to be in, that if people are engaged and listening, that feels great. And if people are cozy enough they fall asleep, that also feels great. No, not this week. I'm gonna be out of town starting tomorrow. Yeah. Eric, though, can you not hear that I do have a fireplace sound in the background? Can you guys hear it? Fire crackling? Oh, Snapester, thank you. Thank you. So, I just want, the chapter's not done, but I just want to comment on this, right? Because at a glance, this seems like borderline a boring scene, right? They're in the parlor. It's a bunch of rich kids and a governess, right? And there's some, like, of the usual tension of, like, he likes her, but she likes him, and that, you know? But the thing that makes this story really interesting is that we, the readers, know that Jean Ware, the governess, is a total fraud. That she is toying with them all, that she's got ulterior motives. So we're watching all of this that seems like this just like normal scene. He's like, oh, I don't know, I've got a crush on the governess, and his like former betrothed is all like jealous, and there's, you know, like petty drama stuff. But underneath it's like, what is her plan? Like, what really is she planning for them? And so there's this like underlying tension under this otherwise almost banal scene. Yeah. I'm really digging the tone of this book. Okay. Lucia bore this as long as she could, and then left the room with the air of an insulted princess. But Coventry did not, and Jean feigned not to see her go. Bella was fast asleep, and before he knew how it came to pass, the young man was listening to the story of his companion's life. Right, again, like this is probably all lies that she's telling him, but we'll see. We'll see. I know. Very exciting, isn't it? If you hear squeaking in the background, those are my guinea pigs. There are some spicy moments, Artax, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. A sad tale, told with wonderful skill, for soon he was absorbed in it. The basket slid unobserved from his knee. The dog was pushed away, and, leaning forward, he listened eagerly as the girl's low voice recounted all the hardships, loneliness, and grief of her short voice. No, of her short life. Sorry. In the midst of a touching episode, she started, stopped, and looked straight before her with an intent expression which changed to one of intense contempt, and her eye turned to Coventry's as she said, pointing to the window behind him, "We are watched." "By whom?" he demanded, starting up angrily. "Hush, say nothing. Let it pass. Let it pass. I'm used to it." "But I am not, and I'll not submit to it. Who was it, Jean?" he answered hotly. She smiled significantly at a knot of rose-colored ribbon, which a little gust was blowing toward them along the terrace. A black frown darkened the young man's face as he sprang out of the long window and went rapidly out of sight, scrutinizing each green nook as he passed. Jean laughed quietly as she watched him and said softly to herself, with her eyes on the fluttering ribbon, "That was a fortunate accident and a happy inspiration. Yes, my dear Mrs. Dean, you will find that playing the spy will only get your mistress, as well as yourself, in trouble. You would not be warned, and you must take the consequences, reluctant as I am to injure a worthy creature like yourself." Soon Coventry was heard returning. Jean listened with suspended breath to catch his first words, for he was not alone. Since you insist that it was you, and not your mistress, I let it pass, although I still have my suspicions. Tell Miss Beaufort I desire to see her for a few moments in the library. Now go, Dean. Be careful for the future if you wish to stay in my house. The maid retired, and the young man came in looking both ireful and stern. Such a nice break from YouTube madness. Aw, I'm so glad you found us then, Miss Snapester. It's good to have you join us. Yeah, it's good to slow down with a cozy story sometimes. Yeah. Okay. Oh, I wish I had said nothing, but I was startled and spoke involuntarily. Now you are angry, and I've made fresh trouble for poor Miss Lucia. Forgive me as I forgive her, and let it pass. I've learned to bear this surveillance and pity her causeless jealousy, said Jean, with a self-reproachful air. I will forgive the dishonorable act, but I cannot forget it, and I intend to put a stop to it. I am not betrothed to my cousin, as I told you once, but you, like all the rest, seem bent on believing that I am. Hitherto I have cared too little about the matter to settle it, but now I shall prove beyond all doubt that I am free. As he uttered the last word, Coventry cast on Jean a look that affected her strangely. She grew pale, her work dropped on her lap, and her eyes rose to his with an eager, questioning expression, which slowly changed to one of mingled pain and pity as she turned her face away, murmuring in a tone of tender sorrow, "Poor Lucia, who will comfort her?" For a moment, Coventry stood silent, as if weighing some fateful purpose in his mind. As Jean's rapt sigh of compassion reached his ear, he had echoed it within himself, and half repented of his resolution. Then his eye rested on the girl before him, looking so lonely in her sweet sympathy for another that his heart yearned toward her. Sudden fire shot into his eye, sudden warmth replaced the cold sternness of his face, and his steady voice faltered suddenly as he said, very low but very earnestly, "Jean, I have tried to love her, but I cannot. Ought I to deceive her and make myself miserable to please my family? She is beautiful and good, and loves you tenderly. Is there no hope for her?" asked Jean, still pale, but very quiet, though she held one hand against her heart as if to still or hide its rapid beating. "None," answered Coventry. "But can you not learn to love her? Your will is strong, and most men would not find it a hard task." "I cannot, for something stronger than my own will controls me." "What is that?" And Jean's dark eyes were fixed upon him, full of innocent wonder. His fell, and he said hastily, "I dare not tell you yet." "Oh, pardon, I should not have asked. Do not consult me in this matter. I am not the person to advise you. I can only say that it seems to me as if any man with an empty heart would be glad to have so beautiful a woman as your cousin." "My heart is not empty," began Coventry, drawing a step nearer and speaking in a passionate voice. "Jean, I must speak. Hear me. I cannot love my cousin because I love you." "Stop!" And Jean sprang up with a commanding gesture. "I will not hear you while any promise binds you to another. Remember your mother's wishes, Lucia's hopes, Edward's last words, your own pride, my humble lot. You forget yourself, Mr. Coventry. Think well before you speak. Weigh the cost of this act, and recollect who I am before you insult me by any transient passion, any false vows. I have thought, and do weigh the cost, and I swear that I desire to woo you as humbly, honestly as I would any lady in the land. You speak of my pride. Do I stoop in loving my equal in rank? You speak of your lowly lot, but poverty is no disgrace, and the courage with which you bear it makes it beautiful. I should have broken with Lucia before I spoke, but I could not control myself. My mother loves you and will be happy in my happiness. Edward must forgive me, for I have tried to do my best, but love is irresistible. Tell me, Jean, is there any hope for me? He had seized her hand and was speaking impetuously, with ardent face and tender tone, but no answer came, for as Jean turned her eloquent countenance toward him, full of maiden shame and timid love, Dean's prim figure appeared at the door, and her harsh voice broke the momentary silence, saying sternly, "Miss Beaufort is waiting for you, sir." Go at once, and be kind, for my sake, Gerald," whispered Jean, for he stood as if deaf and blind to everything but her voice, her face. As she drew his head down to whisper, her cheek touched his, and, regardless of Dean, he kissed it, passionately, whispering back, "Oh, my little Jean, for your sake I can be anything." But Jane Austen would never. Is spicy. Spicy for the time. Spicy for the time. Oh my god. "Miss Beaufort is waiting. Shall I say you will come, sir?" demanded Dean, pale and grim with indignation. Yes, I'll come. Wait for me in the garden, Jean." And Coventry hurried away, in no mood for the interview, but anxious to have it over. As the door closed behind him, Dean walked up to Miss Muir. Trembling with anger, and laying a heavy hand on her arm, she said, below her breath, "I've been expecting this. You artful creature. I saw your game and did my best to spoil it, but you are too quick for me. You think you've got him. There you are mistaken, for as sure as my name is Hester Dean, I'll prevent it. Or Sir John shall. Take your hand away and treat me with the proper respect, or you will be dismissed from this house. Do you know who I am?" And Jean drew herself up with a haughty air, which impressed the woman more deeply than her words. "I am the daughter of Lady Howard, and, if I choose it, can be the wife of Mr. Coventry." Dean drew back, amazed, yet not convinced. Being a well-trained servant, as well as a prudent woman, she feared to overstep the bounds of respect, to go too far, to get her mistress as well as herself into trouble. So, though she still doubted Jean and hated her more than ever, she controlled herself. Dropping a curtsy, she assumed her usual air of deference and said meekly, "I beg pardon, miss. If I'd known, I should have conducted myself differently, of course, but ordinary governesses make so much mischief in a house, one can't help mistrusting them. I don't wish to meddle or be overbold, but being fond of my dear young lady, I naturally take her part, and must say that Mr. Coventry has not acted like a gentleman. Think what you please, Dean, but I advise you to say as little as possible if you wish to remain. I have not accepted Mr. Coventry yet, and if he chooses to set aside the engagement his family made for him, I think he has a right to do so. Miss Beaufort would hardly care to marry him against his will, because he pities for her unhappy love. And with a tranquil smile, Miss Muir walked away. End of chapter. Oh my god. Oh my god. Abdel, I think you can be a voice actor. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh man. Things are getting spicy. Do I have any totally whispered reads? Some, yeah. Usually if I'm reading like a book or a short story, it's usually in soft spoken like this. But I do occasionally do whispered reading, especially if it's poetry. Maybe I'll do some over the next week. I'm gonna be away from home and streaming from my laptop. And so we're not gonna be starting a new book for like another week or something. So maybe we'll do some like whispered reading for ASMR over this next week. Coventry deserves better. He does. He does. His biggest fault is just being raised as a rich boy, you know. Jane Weir reminds you a bit of Lucy Steele from Sense and Sensibility. Ooh, yeah. Only like way more manipulative. I mean, Lucy doesn't lie about who she is, but she definitely is like pulling some yeah, I totally get what you mean. That would be spectacular. Okay, so if those would go up on my other YouTube channel though. So the one you're watching on right now is at Faolkor. My other one is at Faolkor ASMR. So make sure you're subbed to both of them if you're interested in that kind of content. I paired this on YouTube. You have to say something. Meow. Well, hello. Good night, Eric. Okay. Whew. Let's jump into the next chapter. Yeah, okay, so it is seeming now like maybe her goal is to marry Gerald, but maybe it's just to make him fall in love and she's not planning to accept his proposal. Artax, thank you for the 100 biddies. Thank you. Yeah, and just a reminder to anyone who is watching on YouTube, if you're enjoying this, if you could drop a sub, that would mean the world. I'm trying to work on hitting the requirements for the YouTube partner program, so it's very, very much appreciated. What if it turns out she's just a succubus and she's just trying to steal his soul? I feel like she could have done it already. I don't know. I don't think it's that kind of book, but alright. Chapter 7, The Last Chance. By the way, this is only a 9-chapter book, so we're getting near the end. She will tell Sir John, will she? Well, then I must be before her and hasten events. It will be as well to have all sure before there... I read that so poorly. Let me start again. Okay. She will tell Sir John, will she? Then I must be before her and hasten events. It will be as well to have all sure before there can be any danger. Oh, my poor Dean, you are no match for me, but you may prove annoying nevertheless. These thoughts passed through Miss Muir's mind as she went down the hall, pausing an instant at the library door, for the murmur of voices was heard. She got no word, and had only time for an instant's pause as Dean's heavy step followed her. Turning, Jean drew a chair before the door, and, beckoning to the woman, she said, smiling still, "Sit here and play watchdog. I am going to Miss Bella, so you can nod if you will." "Thank you, miss. I will wait for my young lady. She may need me when this hard time is over." And Dean seated herself with a resolute face. Jean laughed and went on, but her eyes gleamed with sudden malice, and she glanced over her shoulder with an expression which boded ill for the faithful old servant. "I've got a letter from Ned, and here is a tiny note for you," cried Bella as Jean entered the boudoir. "Mine is a very odd, hasty letter, with no news in it, but his meeting with Sydney. I hope yours is better, or it won't be very satisfactory." As Sydney's name passed Bella's lips, all the colour died out of Miss Muir's face, and the note shook with the tremor of her hand. Her very lips were white, but she said calmly, "Thank you. As you are busy, I'll go and read my letter on the lawn." And before Bella could speak, she was gone. Oh, Paradise, thank you. Carmilla crossover chipfic incoming. Oh my god. No, there's definitely like some Carmilla vibes in this. Although I would say in terms of a house guest tricking the noble family that they're staying with, I think Carmilla wins that competition. As deceitful as Jean Muir is, Carmilla takes the cake. Yeah. Ivan, sorry, I speak English. English, please. Okay. Thank you, Sean. You got my sub. Thank you, Miss Napster. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, if Jean Muir suddenly is like a vampire, that would be awesome. But I don't think it goes in that direction. All right. Hurrying to a quiet nook, Jean tore open the note and read the few blotted lines it contained. "I have seen Sydney. He has told me all, and hard as I found it to believe, it was impossible to doubt, for he has discovered proofs which cannot be denied. I make no reproaches, shall demand no confession or atonement, for I cannot forget that I once loved you. I give you 3 days to find another home, before I return to tell my family who you are. Go at once, I beseech you, and spare me the pain of seeing your disgrace." Slowly, steadily, she read it twice over, then sat motionless, knitting her brows in deep thought. Presently she drew a long breath, tore up the note, and, rising, went slowly toward the hall, saying to herself, 3 days. Only 3 days. Can it be accomplished in so short a time? It shall be, if wit and will can do it, for it is my last chance. If this fails, I'll not go back to my old life, but end all at once. Setting her teeth and clenching her hands, as if some memory stung her, she went on through the twilight to find Sir John waiting to give her a hearty welcome. "Oh, you look tired, my dear. Never mind the reading tonight. Rest yourself and let the book go," he said kindly, observing her worn look. "Thank you, sir. I am tired, but I'd rather read, else the book will not be finished before I go." "Go, child? Where are you going?" demanded Sir John, looking anxiously at her as she sat down. "I will tell you by and by, sir." And opening the book, Jean read for a little while. But the usual charm was gone. There was no spirit in the voice of the reader, no interest in the face of the listener. And soon he said, abruptly, "My dear, pray stop. I cannot listen with a divided mind. What troubles you? Tell your friend and let him comfort you." As if the kind words overcame her, Jean dropped the book, covered up her face, and wept so bitterly that Sir John was much alarmed, for such a demonstration was deeply touching in one who usually was all gaiety and smiles. As he tried to soothe her, his words grew tender, his solicitude full of a more than paternal anxiety, and his kind heart overflowed with pity and affection for the weeping girl. As she grew calmer, he urged her to be frank, promising to help and counsel her whatever the affliction or fault might be. "Oh, you are too kind, too generous. How can I go away and leave my one friend?" sighed Jean, wiping the tears away and looking up at him with grateful eyes. "Then you do care a little for the old man," said Sir John, with an eager look, an involuntary pressure of the hand he held. Jean turned her face away and answered, very low, "No one ever was so kind to me as you have been. Can I help caring for you more than I can express?" Now, Sir John was a little deaf at times, but he heard that and looked well pleased. He had been rather thoughtful of late, had dressed with unusual care, been particularly gallant and gay when the young ladies visited him, and more than once, when Jean paused in the reading to ask a question, he had been forced to confess that he had not been listening. Oh my, is he in love with her too? Oh my god. Is this Twilight? No, but there is an Edward and a Bella in it, weirdly enough. Though, as she well knew, his eyes had been fixed upon her. Since the discovery of her birth, his manner had been peculiarly benignant, and many little acts had proved his interest and goodwill. Now, when Jean spoke of going, a panic seized him, and desolation seemed to fall upon the old hall. Something in her unusual agitation struck him as peculiar and excited his curiosity. Never had she seemed so interesting as now, when she sat beside him with tearful eyes and some soft trouble in her heart which she dared not confess. "Tell me everything, child, and let your friend help you if he can." Formerly he said father or the old man, but lately he always spoke of himself as her friend. "I will tell you, for I have no one else to turn to. I must go away because Mr. Coventry has been weak enough to love me." "What? Gerald?" cried Sir John, amazed. "Yes, today he told me this and left me to break with Lucia. So I ran to you to help me prevent him from disappointing his mother's hopes and plans." Sir John had started up and paced down the room, but as Jean paused, he turned toward her, saying, with an altered face, "Then you do not love him? Is it possible?" "No, I do not love him," she answered promptly. Oh shit, okay. God, what is this girl after? It's not Gerald. What is she after? Gaetan. Bonjour. Oh man, okay. Oops, that was okay, because when she got, okay, she received, okay, Edward, the younger brother, fell in love with her. She turned him down and told Gerald that she couldn't marry him because he didn't love her, she didn't love him, and that she loved someone else, and also that Sydney, Mr. Sydney, another young man, loved her, but she didn't love Sydney. Again, she loved someone else. And the way that she communicates this hints at the fact that Gerald himself is the one that she loves, right? And when Gerald confesses his feelings to her in that scene we just read, the way she responds very much seems like she returns the feelings, but it's just saying, I'm not gonna say anything or commit to anything until you break it off with Lucia, right? Like she's pretending it's because of honor, but then she runs to Sir John, Gerald's uncle, who also seems to be in love with her, and says she's not in love with Gerald. But in the meantime, she receives a letter from Ned, Edward, the younger brother who fell in love with her and then got sent away to the army to get him out of trouble. And she, in the letter, Edward says that he has met with Mr. Sidney and talked to him and learnt her secret. And that she needs to GTFO in the next 3 days, or he's going to come back and tell all of his family who and what she is. So we can assume, not 100%, but assume that he knows that she's lying, that she's an actress. And when she was like, okay, I've got 3 days, that very much, I was finally starting to think, oh, maybe her goal is to marry Gerald, who is the heir of the estate, you know? And she's like, oh God, I gotta get married in the next 3 days kind of thing. But now she's saying this. So once again, her motives are up in the air. Ooh, this is very fun. Yeah, maybe she's just trying to tear the family apart. I don't know. Hi, Lexi. Hello. Okay. No, I do not love him, she answered promptly. Yet he is all that women usually find attractive. How is it that you have escaped, Jean? I love someone else, was the scarcely audible reply. Sir John resumed his seat with the air of a man bent on getting at a mystery, if possible. It will be unjust to let you suffer for the folly of these boys, my little girl. Ned is gone, and I was sure that Gerald was safe, but now that his turn has come, I am perplexed, for he cannot be sent away. No, it is I who must go, but it seems so hard to leave this safe and happy home and wander away into the wide, cold world again. You have all been too kind to me, and now separation breaks my heart. A sob ended the speech, and Jane's head went down upon her hands again. Sir John looked at her a moment, and his fine old face was full of genuine emotion, as he said, slowly, Jane, will you stay and be a daughter to the solitary old man? Not romantic love, then. Okay, that's kind of a relief. No, sir, was the unexpected answer. And why not? Asked Sir John, looking surprised but rather pleased than angry. Because I could not be a daughter to you, and even if I could, it would not be wise, for the gossips would say you are not old enough to be the adopted father of a girl like me. Sir John, young as I am, I know much of the world, and I am sure that this kind plan is impractical. But I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Ladies, Nimbus. Nim. Calm yourself. Sorry, guys. Well, I'm curious, what made you think I'm from Romania? He's trying to get her in her... Everyone wants a bite at this apple. It's so interesting, too, because also just the way that when she's first introduced as a character, she's not described as a great beauty, right? She's described as kind of plain and sallow, and her hair, instead of being like golden, is kind of like a yellow color. But as people start to fall in love with her because of her charisma, like manipulative charisma, her description becomes more beautiful, because in their eyes, she becomes more beautiful. Which is fun. Okay. Where will you go, Jean? Asked Sir John after a pause. To London, and try to find another situation where I can do no harm. Will it be difficult to find another home? Yes. I cannot ask Mrs. Coventry to recommend me when I have innocently brought so much trouble into her family. And Lady Sydney is gone, so I have no friend. Except John Coventry. I will arrange all that. When will you go, Jean? Tomorrow. So soon? And the old man's voice betrayed the trouble he was trying to conceal. Jean had grown very calm, but it was the calmness of desperation. She had hoped that the first tears would produce the avowal for which she waited. It had not, and she began to fear that her last chance was slipping from her. Did the old man love her? If so, why did he not speak? Eager to profit by each moment, she was on the alert for any hopeful hint, any propitious word, look, or act, and every nerve was strung to the utmost. Jean, may I ask one question? Said Sir John. Anything of me, sir. This man whom you love, can he not help you? He could if he knew, but he must not. If he knew what? Your present trouble? No, my love. He does not know this, then? No, thank heaven, and he never will. Why not? Because I am too proud to own it. He loves you, my child? I do not know. I dare not hope it, murmured Jean. Can I not help you here? Believe me, I desire to see you safe and happy. Is there nothing I can do? Nothing. Nothing. May I know the name? No, let me go. I cannot bear this questioning. And Jean's distressful face warned him to ask no more. Forgive me, and let me do what I may. Rest here quietly. I'll write a letter to a good friend of mine who will find you a home if you leave us. As Sir John passed into his inner study, Jean watched him with despairing eyes and wrung her hands, saying to herself, has all my skill deserted me when I need it most? How can I make him understand, yet not overstep the bounds of maiden modesty? He is so blind, so timid, or so dull he will not see, and time is going fast. What shall I do to open his eyes? Her own eyes roved about the room, seeking for some aid from inanimate things, and soon she found it. Close behind the couch where she sat hung a fine miniature of Sir John. At first her eye rested on it as she contrasted its placid comeliness with the unusual pallor and disquiet of the living face seen through the open door, as the old man sat at his desk, trying to write and casting covert glances at the girlish figure he had left behind him. Affecting unconsciousness of this, Jean gazed on as if forgetful of everything but the picture, and suddenly, as if obeying an irresistible impulse, she took it down, looked long and fondly at it, then, shaking her curls about her face, as if to hide the act, pressed it to her lips, and seemed to weep over it in an uncontrollable paroxysm of tender grief. A sound startled her, and like a guilty thing, she turned to replace the picture, but it dropped from her hand as she uttered a faint cry and hid her face, for Sir John stood before her with an expression which she could not mistake. Jean, why did you do that? He asked in an eager, agitated voice. No answer, as the girl sank lower, like one overwhelmed with shame. Laying his hand on the bent head and bending his own, he whispered, Tell me, is the name John Coventry? Still no answer, but a stifled sound betrayed that his words had gone home. Jean, shall I go back and write the letter, or... Sorry, this line is disgusting. Okay, sorry. Jean, shall I go back and write the letter, or may I stay and tell you that the old man loves you better than a daughter? Oh shit. Okay. Oh, yeah, no, it's cool. Just, within the space of 20 minutes, he's offered to adopt her and now potentially marry her. It's cool. It's cool. She did not speak, but a little hand stole out from under the falling hair as if to keep him. With a broken exclamation, he seized it, drew her up into his arms, and laid his gray head on her fair one, too happy for words. For a moment, Jean Weir enjoyed her success. Then, fearing lest some sudden mishap should destroy it, she hastened to make all secure. Looking up with well-feigned timidity and half-confessed affection, she said softly, "Forgive me that I could not hide this better. I meant to go away and never tell it, but you were so kind, it made the parting doubly hard. Why did you ask such dangerous questions? Why did you look when you should have been writing my dismissal? How could I dream that you loved me, Jean, when you refused the only offer I dared make? Could I be presumptuous enough to fancy you would reject young lovers for an old man like me?" asked Sir John, caressing her. "You are not old to me, but everything I love and honor," interrupted Jean with a touch of genuine remorse, as this generous, honorable gentleman gave her both heart and home, unconscious of deceit. "It is I who am presumptuous, to dare to love one so far above me. But I did not know how dear you were to me till I felt that I must go. I ought not to accept this happiness. I am not worthy of it, and you will regret your kindness when the world blames you for giving a home to one so poor and plain and humble as I. Hush, my darling. I care nothing for the idle gossip of the world. If you are happy here, let tongues wag as they will. I shall be too busy enjoying the sunshine of your presence to heed anything that goes on about me. But, Jean, you are sure you love me? It seems incredible that I should win the heart that has been so cold to younger, better men than I. Dear Sir John, be sure of this. I love you truly. I will do my best to be a good wife to you and prove that, in spite of my many faults, I possess the virtue of gratitude." If he had known the strait she was in, he would have understood the cause of the sudden fervor of her words, the intense thankfulness that shone in her face, the real humility that made her stoop and kiss the generous hand that gave so much. For a few moments, she enjoyed and let him enjoy the happy present, undisturbed. But the anxiety which devoured her, the danger which menaced her, soon recalled her, and forced her to wring yet more from the unsuspicious heart she had conquered. "No need of letters now," said Sir John, as they sat side by side with the summer moonlight glorifying all the room. "You have found a home for life. May it prove a happy one. It is not mine yet, and I have a strange foreboding that it never will be, she answered sadly. Why, my child? Because I have an enemy who will try to destroy my peace, to poison your mind against me, and to drive me out from my paradise, to suffer again all I have suffered this past year. You mean that mad Sydney of whom you told me? Yes. As soon as he hears of this good fortune to poor little Jean, he will hasten to mar it. He is my fate. I cannot escape him. And wherever he goes, my friends desert me, for he has the power and uses it for my destruction. Oh, let me go away and hide before he comes, for having shared your confidence, it will break my heart to see you distrust and turn from me, instead of loving and protecting. Oh, my poor child, you are superstitious. Be easy. No one can harm you now. No one would dare attempt it. And as for my deserting you, that will soon be out of my power, if I have my way. How, dear Sir John? Asked Jean, with a flutter of intense relief at her heart, for the way seemed smoothing before her. I will make you my wife at once, if I may. This will free you from Gerald's love, protect you from Sydney's persecution, give you a safe home, and me the right to cherish and defend with heart and hand. Shall it be so, my child? Yes, but oh, remember that I have no friend but you. Promise me to be faithful to the last, to believe in me, to trust me, protect and love me, in spite of all misfortunes, faults and follies. I will be true as steel to you, and make your life as happy as it deserves to be. Let us promise these things now, and keep the promises unbroken to the end. Her solemn air touched Sir John. Too honorable and upright himself to suspect falsehood in others, he saw only the natural impulse of a lovely girl in Jean's words, and taking the hand she gave him in both of his, he promised all she asked, and kept that promise to the end. She paused an instant, with a pale, absent expression, as if she searched herself, then looked up clearly in the confiding face above her, and promised what she faithfully performed in after years. Hold on, chapter's not done yet. Oh. Hi, Chompy, you're asleep? Excellent. When shall it be, little sweetheart? I leave all to you. Only let it be soon, else some gay young lover will appear and take you from me, said Sir John, playfully, anxious to chase away the dark expression which had stolen over Jean's face. Can you keep a secret? Asked the girl, smiling up at him, all her charming self again. Try me. I will. Edward is coming home in 3 days. I must be gone before he comes. Tell no one of this. He wishes to surprise them. And if you love me, tell nobody of your approaching marriage. Do not betray that you care for me until I am really yours. There will be such a stir, such remonstrances, explanations, and reproaches that I shall be worn out and run away from you all to escape the trial. If I could have my wish, I would go to some quiet place tomorrow and wait till you come for me. I know so little of such things. I cannot tell how soon we may be married. Not for some weeks, I think. Tomorrow, if we like. A special license permits people to marry when and where they please. My plan is better than yours. Listen and tell me if it can be carried out. I will go to town tomorrow, get the license, invite my friend, the Reverend Paul Fairfax, to return with me. And tomorrow evening, you come at your usual time, and, in the presence of my discreet old servants, make me the happiest man in England. How does this suit you, my little Lady Coventry? plan which seemed made to meet her ends, the name which was the height of her ambition, and the blessed sense of safety which came to her, filled Jean Weir with such intense satisfaction that tears of real feeling stood in her eyes, and the glad assent she gave was the truest word that had passed her lips for months. "We will go abroad or to Scotland for our honeymoon, till the storm blows over," said Sir John, well knowing that this hasty marriage would surprise or offend all his relations, and feeling as glad as Jean to escape the first excitement. "Oh, to Scotland, please. I long to see my father's home," said Jean, who dreaded to meet Sydney on the continent. They talked a little longer, arranging all things, Sir John so intent on hurrying the event that Jean had nothing to do but give a ready assent to all his suggestions. One fear alone disturbed her. If Sir John went to town, he might meet Edward, might hear and believe his statements. Then all would be lost. Yet this risk must be incurred if the marriage was to be speedily and safely accomplished, and to guard against the meeting was Jean's sole care. As they went through the park, for Sir John insisted on taking her home, she said, clinging to his arm, "Dear friend, bear one thing in mind, else we shall be much annoyed and all our plans disarranged. Avoid your nephews. Oh, you are so frank your face will betray you. They both love me, are both hot-tempered, and in the first excitement of the discovery might be violent. You must incur no danger, no disrespect for my sake, so shun them both till we are safe. Particularly Edward. He will feel that his brother has wronged him, and that you have succeeded where he failed. This will irritate him, and I fear a stormy scene. Promise to avoid both for a day or two. Do not listen to them, do not see them, do not write to or receive letters from them. It is foolish, I know, but you are all I have, and I am haunted by a strange foreboding that I am to lose you." Touched and flattered by her tender solicitude, Sir John promised everything, even while he laughed at her fears. Love blinded the good gentleman to the peculiarity of the request. The novelty, romance, and secrecy of the affair rather bewildered, though it charmed him, and the knowledge that he had outrivaled 3 young and ardent lovers gratified his vanity more than he would confess. Parting from the girl at the garden gate, he turned homeward, feeling like a boy again, and loitered back, humming a love lay, quite forgetful of evening damps, gout, and the 55 years which lay so lightly on his shoulders since Jean's arms had rested there. She hurried toward the house, anxious to escape Coventry, but he was waiting for her, and she was forced to meet him. All your male relatives want a piece. Yeah. She's she's not, like, humble about that. She even said to Gerald at some point, like, all men who meet me fall in love with me. So. Oh, Phantom Shadow, that's very kind. Yeah, I think I'm doing okay. You've been in this dude's shoes. Oh, man. Yeah, it is, Oh my goodness. Really? Oh! Okay, well, hold on. I think I need to give a cookie to a guinea pig. Hold on, they're... One sec.
You want a cookie? You want a cookie?
Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay. Oof. Okay. If you give a guinea pig a cookie, they'll ask for another. Yep, that's how it goes. That's how it goes. Okay. Oof. Okay, so she's gone back to the main house and has met with Gerald. Gerald's waiting for her. Thank God you weren't. Yeah, she got pretty loud there. How could you linger so long and keep me in suspense? He said reproachfully, as he took her hand and tried to catch a glimpse of her face in the shadow of her hat brim. Come and rest in the grotto. I've so much to say, to hear and enjoy. Hi, Pity Pat. What are my pronouns? She, her. Lucy was still nowhere. Oh, yeah, no, Lucy is not this manipulative for sure. Lucy Steele, yeah. I mean, she's very dislikable, but not this bad. Yeah. Come and rest in the grotto. I have so much to say, to hear and enjoy. Not now. I am too tired. Let me go in and sleep. Tomorrow we will talk. It is damp and chilly, and my head aches with all this worry. Jean spoke wearily, yet with a touch of petulance, and Coventry, fancying that she was piqued at his not coming for her, hastened to explain with eager tenderness. Oh, my poor little Jean, you do need rest. We wear you out among us, and you never complain. I should have come to bring you home, but Lucia detained me, and when I got away, I saw my uncle had forestalled me. I shall be jealous of the old gentleman, if he is so devoted. Jean, tell me one thing before we part. I am free as air now, and have a right to speak. Do you love me? Am I the happy man who has won your heart? I dare to think so, to believe that this telltale face of yours has betrayed you, and to hope that I have gained what poor Ned and wild Sydney have lost. You think she'll say yes? Let's see, I honestly don't know. Before I answer, tell me of your interview with Lucia. I have a right to know, said Jean. Coventry hesitated, for pity and remorse were busy at his heart when he recalled poor Lucia's grief. Jean was bent on hearing the humiliation of her rival. As the young man paused, she frowned, then lifted up her face, wreathed in softest smiles, and, laying her hand on his arm, she said, with most effective emphasis, half shy, half fond upon his name, "Please, tell me, Gerald." He could not resist the look, the touch, the tone, and taking the little hand in his, he said rapidly, as if the task was distasteful to him, I told her that I did not, could not love her, that I had submitted to my mother's wish, and for a time had felt tacitly bound to her, though no words had passed between us. But now I demanded my liberty, regretting that the separation was not mutually desired. And she, what did she say? How did she bear it? Asked Jean, feeling in her own woman's heart how deeply Lucia's must have been wounded by that avowal. Hi, Shakur. Hello. This is a fantastic treatise on manipulation. Oh, she is very talented at manipulation. Oh my goodness. Poor girl. It was hard to bear, but her pride sustained her to the end. She owned that no pledge tied me, fully relinquished any claim my past behavior had seemed to have given her, and prayed that I might find another woman to love me as truly, tenderly as she had done. Jean, I felt like a villain, and yet I never plighted my word to her, never really loved her, and had a perfect right to leave her if I would. Did she speak of me? Yes. What did she say? Must I tell you? Oh, yes, tell me everything. I know she hates me, and I forgive her, knowing that I should hate any woman whom you loved. Are you jealous, dear? Of you, Gerald. And the fine eyes glanced up at him, full of a brilliancy that looked like the light of love. You make a slave of me already. How do you do it? I have never obeyed a woman before. Jean, I think you are a witch. Scotland is the home of weird, uncanny creatures who take lovely shapes for the bedevilment of poor, weak souls. Are you one of those fair deceivers? You are complimentary, laughed the girl. I am a witch, and one day my disguise will drop away and you will see me as I am. Old, ugly, bad, and lost. Beware of me in time. I've warned you. Now, love me at your peril. Coventry had paused as he spoke and eyed her with an unquiet look, conscious of some fascination which conquered yet brought no happiness. A feverish yet pleasurable excitement possessed him, a reckless mood, making him eager to obliterate the past by any rash act, any new experience which his passion brought. Jean regarded him with a wistful, almost woeful face for one short moment. Then a strange smile broke over it as she spoke in a tone of malicious mockery, under which lurked the bitterness of a sad truth. Coventry looked half bewildered, and his eye went from the girl's mysterious face to a dimly lighted window, behind whose curtains poor Lucia hid her aching heart, praying for him the tender prayers that loving women give to those whose sins are all forgiven for love's sake. His heart smote him, and a momentary feeling of repulsion came over him as he looked at Jean. She saw it, felt angry yet conscious of a sense of relief, for now that her own safety was so nearly secured, she felt no wish to do mischief, but rather a desire to undo what was already done and be at peace with all the world. To recall him to his allegiance, she sighed and walked on, saying gently, yet coldly, "Will you tell me what I ask before I answer your question, Mr. Coventry?" What Lucia said of you? Well, it was this. Beware of Miss Muir. We instinctively distrusted her when we had no cause. I believe in instincts, and mine have never changed, for she is not trying to delude me. Her art is wonderful. I feel yet cannot explain or detect it except in the working of events which her hand seems to guide. She has brought sorrow and dissension into this hitherto happy family. We are all changed, and this girl has done it. Me she can harm no further. You she will ruin if she can. Beware of her in time, or you will bitterly repent your blind infatuation. And what answer did you make? Asked Jean, as the last words came reluctantly from Coventry's lips. I told her that I loved you in spite of myself, and would make you my wife, in the face of all opposition. Now, Jean, your answer. Give me 3 days to think of it. Good night. And gliding from him, she vanished into the house, leaving him to roam about half the night, tormented with remorse, suspense, and the old distrust which would return when Jean was not there to banish it by her art. End of chapter. Oh my god, she is so horrible. Wow. Warix, hello. Ghost, thank you. Ardex, thank you for the pities. This poor family, right? Miss Songish. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but hello, hello. So bright. Oh, thank you, Ghost. Thank you. Oh my god. Okay, so it seems like her goal is to marry the uncle. Now, if she is, like, if her main thing is just, like, being a gold digger, which includes, at this point, like, being a rank digger, because, so, particularly in the past, England has been more interested in, like, rank and nobility than actual wealth, which is why, like, because she is telling this lie that she's from a very highborn family but was orphaned and is, like, poor now, has nothing to her name, she has to work for a living, you know. And Gerald, who is a, you know, nobleman, is saying to her, like, there's nothing shameful in poverty, but it's because he thinks, like, oh, she's really highborn, her family name is really good, that's more important, which is, it's a big difference between, like, the UK and, like, the American, like, wealth is more important in North America, whereas rank is more important in England. So yeah, oh my god. So, because if, I believe, so there's this estate, right? And Sir John, right? So he's knighted. And by marrying him, she would become a lady, which I know the way we use that word is, like, pretty casual now. Like, oh, that lady, but that is actually, like, quite a noble title. To be Lady Coventry, like, that would be a big deal. And if she gets knocked up, then and if she has a son by him, her son will be heir to the estate instead of Gerald. Gerald is the heir because Sir John doesn't have any kids, and so it's going to his nephew. But if she can get pregnant from Sir John and produce an heir, then Gerald's not the heir anymore, and then she will basically be set for life. You're embarrassed because you're 21, sleep with your stuffed animal? Dude, that is nothing to be embarrassed about. Plushies are awesome. They're cozy, they're squishy, they're comfy. Don't feel embarrassed about that at all. Yes, Sir John and Gerald both think she's highborn, but just unfortunate circumstances. Yeah. Yeah. And also, I think she probably thinks it's also because she could have married Gerald, and then, because he's to inherit at this point, right? And honestly, that's in some ways more secure because she can't guarantee that she'll have a son that will inherit the estate, right? But I think she thinks that it would be easier to manipulate Sir John because he's older, and I don't know, maybe she's planning to kill him. I don't know what her plans are, but yes, I am from the west coast of Canada. Okay, I have to say, reading the sentence, I am a collector, from someone whose username is show me your tongue is really unnerving. Do you just have, like, a pickle jar of tongues somewhere? Because that's... Sir John is have to... Well, the funny thing is, like, I was giving him, like, this really elderly voice, but he's, like, in his 50s. He's not that old by today's standards, you know? Yeah, he'll make her a widow sooner, yeah. But if she doesn't produce an heir, then it'll still be passed on to Gerald. So, you think she was actually highborn? Yeah, we don't know. We don't know. Like, out of everything she's saying and doing, we don't know which parts, if it's all lies or not. Artax, are you okay? What? She would be a dowager? Yes. I don't know what rights a dowager would have, especially if Gerald fucking hated her at this point. Because she turned him down for his uncle. Like, if Gerald inherits the estate, would he just allow her to keep, like, living there in comfort? Or, like, I don't know. Kayla Tia, hi. Hello, welcome in. Okay, you guys, we have 2 chapters left in this book, and I want to finish it tonight. I am going to take just a few minutes of break. I've got a bad back, so I'm gonna get up and stretch and maybe eat a little something. Artax, thank you for the 100 biddies. Because I'm going out of town tomorrow, and I would rather finish this before I go out of town. So, Fidge, yeah, you go to sleep whenever you need to, okay? But also, you know what? Show me your. No, I don't want to see your collection. That's gross and creepy. All right. Okay, I'll be back in just a few minutes, you guys. Hello again. Good night, Milu. Thanks for hanging out. All right. Next chapter. All right. Hi, Sean. How are you doing, Sean? I mean, obviously, the idea of both you and Fidge leaving is a bit terrifying, but also feel free to head out when you need. Like, please, obviously, take care of yourself. All right. We are at chapter 8. She is making fine work, the Coventry family. Yeah. Excited to hear more of that? Yes. You hope the woman gets found out. Oh. Yeah. Like, I'm assuming she will be, because otherwise, what's the message of this story, you know? All right. Let me just take one more little sip and then we'll get going. Oh yeah, and let me do the YouTube thing of saying, if you're enjoying it, please like the stream or drop a sub or what have you. I really appreciate it. Okay. Sorry, I just like gobbled down a protein bar in the break, so. Okay. The brothers had just fought and there was a large oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, Edward stabbed Gerald. Yeah. What? Je n'adore jamais. Non, je dors pendant l'après-midi. My French is so bad. Okay. Alright. Chapter 8. Suspense. All the next day, Jean was in a state of the most intense anxiety, as every hour brought the crisis nearer, and every hour might bring defeat. For this. Ladies. Okay, alright. And every hour might bring defeat, for the subtlest human skill is often thwarted by some. She sounds kind of like a bubbling cauldron, doesn't she? Cloud, yes. You're very impressive. You're very impressive. Okay, sorry guys. How loud is it? Can I just read through it, or does it ruin the reading? The subtlest human skill is often thwarted by some peak bubbles. It's fine, okay. For the subtlest human skill is often thwarted by some unforeseen accident. She longed to assure herself that Sir John was gone, but no servants came or went that day, and she could devise no pretext for sending to glean intelligence. She dared not go herself, lest the unusual act should excite suspicion, for she never went till evening. Even had she determined to venture, there was no time, for Mrs. Coventry was in one of her nervous states. Sorry, I just had a frog come up my throat because of the fast eating. Pig noises are never unwelcome. Oh, good. Oh, good. Don't spam that frog at me. Look. I did a protein bar and drink a bunch of liquid really fast. Okay. From Mrs. Coventry was in one of her nervous states, and no one but Miss Muir could amuse her. Lucia was ill, and Miss Muir must give orders. Bella had a studious fit, and Jean must help her. Coventry lingered about the house for several hours, but Jean dared not send him, lest some hint of the truth might reach him. He had ridden away to his new duties when Jean did not appear, and the day dragged on wearisomely. Night came at last, and as Jean dressed for the late dinner, she hardly knew herself when she stood before her mirror. Excitement lent such color and brilliancy to her countenance. Remembering the wedding which was to take place that evening, she put on a simple white dress and added a cluster of white roses in bosom and hair. She often wore flowers, but in spite of her desire to look and seem as usual, Bella's first words as she entered the drawing room were, "Why, Jean, how like a bride you look! A veil and gloves would make you quite complete." "You forget one other trifle, Belle," said Gerald, with eyes that brightened as they rested on Miss Muir. "What is that?" asked his sister. "A bridegroom." Bella looked to see how Jean received this, but she seemed quite composed as she smiled one of her sudden smiles and merely said, "That trifle will doubtless be found when the time comes. Is Miss Beaufort too ill for dinner?" "She begs to be excused, and said you would be willing to take her place, she thought." "Oh, no, sorry, that was Bella. She begs to be excused, and said you would be willing to take her place, she thought." As innocent Bella delivered this message, Jean glanced at Coventry, who evaded her eye and looked ill at ease. "Hi, Angel's Pirate. Hello. Also, thank you for all the hearts over on YouTube. I can see them out of the corner of my eye. Thank you so much. It's very sweet." "A little remorse will do him good, and prepare him for repentance after the grand coup," she said to herself, and was particularly gay at dinner time, though Coventry looked often at Lucia's empty seat, as if he missed her. As soon as they left the table, Miss Muir sent Bella to her mother, and, knowing that Coventry would not linger long at his wine, she hurried away to the hall. A servant was lounging at the door, and of him she asked, in a tone which was eager in spite of all efforts to be calm, "Is Sir John at home?" "No, miss. He's just gone to town." "Just gone? What do you mean?" cried Jean, forgetting the relief she felt in hearing of his absence, in surprise at his late departure.
"Oh, he went an hour ago, in the last train, miss."
"Oh, I thought he was going early this morning. He told me he should be back this evening."
"Well, I believe he did mean to go, but was delayed by company. The steward came up on business, and a load of gentlemen called, so Sir John could not get off till night, when he wasn't fit to go, being worn out and far from well."
"Do you think he will be ill? Did he look so?" And as Jean spoke, a thrill of fear passed over her, lest death should rob her of her prize.
"Well, you know, miss, hurry of any kind is bad for elderly gentlemen inclined to apoplexy. Sir John was in a worry all day, and not like himself. I wanted him to take his man, but he wouldn't, and drove off looking flushed and excited like. I'm anxious about him, for I know something is amiss to hurry him off in this way."
"When will he be back, Ralph?"
"Tomorrow noon, if possible. At night, certainly. He bid me tell anyone that called."
"Did he leave no note or message for Miss Coventry or someone of the family?"
"No, miss, nothing."
"Thank you." and Jean walked back to spend a restless night and rise to meet renewed suspense. All the little hearts over there, thank you guys. What hair dye do you use? Honey, what are you doing? Sorry, hold on a second. Oh, hey. Here, come here. Look at this. Come here. Come here. Oh, sorry. What hair dye do I use? So I use a mixture of like every 6 or 8 weeks I do a permanent dye. And then between that I use a semi-permanent Arctic Fox to kind of brighten it up. Okay. Okay, so now there's been this delay, right? And Edward's coming. So the wedding is getting delayed by a day, which when there's a 3-day limit is a lot. Jesus, the blood of humans. Okay. The morning seemed endless, but noon came at last, and under the pretense of seeking coolness in the grotto, Jean stole away to a slope whence the gate to the Hall Park was visible. For 2 long hours she watched, and no one came. She was just turning away when a horseman dashed through the gate and came galloping toward the hall. Heedless of everything but the uncontrollable longing to gain some tidings, she ran to meet him, feeling assured that he brought ill news. It was a young man from the station, and as he caught sight of her, he drew bridle, looking agitated and undecided. "Has anything happened?" she cried, breathlessly. "A dreadful accident on the railroad, just the other side of Croydon. News telegraphed half an hour ago," answered the man, wiping his hot face. "The noon train. Was Sir John in it? Quick, tell me all." "It was that train, miss. But whether Sir John was in it or not, we don't know. For the guard is killed, and everything is in such confusion that nothing can be certain. They are at work getting out the dead and wounded. We heard that Sir John was expected, and I came up to tell Mr. Coventry, thinking he would wish to go down. A train leaves in 15 minutes. Where shall I find him? I was told he was at the hall." Ride on, and find him if he is there. I'll run home and look for him. Lose no time. Ride! And turning, Jean sped back like a deer, while the man tore up the avenue to rouse the hall. "Really? You're so chatty tonight." Coventry was there, and went off at once, leaving both hall and house in dismay. Fearing to betray the horrible anxiety that possessed her, Jean shut herself up in her room and suffered untold agonies as the day wore on, and no news came. At dark, a sudden cry rang through the house, and Jean rushed down to learn the cause. Bella was standing in the hall, holding a letter, while a group of excited servants hovered near her. "What is it?" demanded Miss Muir, pale and steady, though her heart died within her as she recognized Gerald's handwriting. Bella gave her the note, and hushed her sobbing to hear again the heavy tidings that had come. "Dear Bella, Uncle is safe. He did not go in the noon train, but several persons are sure that Ned was there. No trace of him as yet, but many bodies are in the river, under the ruins of the bridge,
and I am doing my best to find the poor lad if he is there. I have sent all his haunts in town, and as he has not been seen, I hope it is a false report and he is safe with his regiment. Keep this from my mother till we are sure. I write you because Lucia is ill. Miss Muir will comfort and sustain you. Hope for the best, dear. Yours, G.C. Those who watched Miss Muir as she read these words wondered at the strange expressions which passed over her face, for the joy which appeared there as Sir John's safety was made known did not change to grief or horror at poor Edward's possible fate. The smile died on her lips, but her voice did not falter, and in her downcast eyes shone an inexplicable look of something like triumph. No wonder, for if this was true, the danger which menaced her was averted for a time, and the marriage might be consummated without such desperate haste. This sad and sudden event seemed to her the mysterious fulfillment of a secret wish, and though startled, she was not daunted, but inspirited, for fate seemed to favor her designs. She did comfort Bella, control the excited household, and keep the rumors from Mrs. Coventry all that dreadful night. At dawn, Gerald came home exhausted and bringing no tiding of the missing man. He had telegraphed to the headquarters of the regiment and received a reply stating that Edward had left for London the previous day, meaning to go home before returning. The fact of his having been at the London station was also established, but whether he left by train or not was still uncertain. The ruins were still being searched, and the body might yet appear. "Is Sir John coming at noon?" asked Jean, as the three sat together in the rosy hush of dawn, trying to hope against hope. No. Oh, sorry, yeah, I was just checking whose dialogue it was. No, he had been ill, I learned from young Gower, who was just from town, and so had not completed his business. I sent him word to wait till night, for the bridge won't be passable till then. Now I must try to rest an hour. I've worked all night and have no strength left. Call me the instant any messenger arrives. With that, Coventry went to his room. Bella followed to wait on him, and Jane roamed through house and grounds, unable to rest. And the morning was far spent when the messenger arrived. Jean went to receive his tidings with the wicked hope still lurking at her heart. "Is he found?" she asked calmly, as the man hesitated to speak. "Yes, ma'am." "You are sure?" "I am certain, ma'am, though some won't say till Mr. Coventry comes to look." "Is he alive?" And Jean's white lips trembled as she put the question. Is this ASMR? Yes. Yeah. ASMR reading. Yeah. "Oh, no, ma'am. That warn't possible under all them stones and water. The poor young gentleman is so wet and crushed and torn, no one would know him, except for the uniform and the white hand with the ring on it." Jean sat down, very pale, and the man described the finding of the poor, shattered body. As he finished, Coventry appeared, and with one look of mingled remorse, shame, and sorrow, the elder brother went away to find and bring the younger home. Jean crept into the garden like a guilty thing, trying to hide the satisfaction which struggled with a woman's natural pity for so sad an end to this brave young life. "Why waste tears or feign sorrow when I must be glad?" she muttered as she paced to and fro along the terrace. "The poor boy is out of pain, and I am out of danger."
She got no further, for, turning as she spoke, she stood face to face with Edward.
What?
Huh? Okay. Bearing no mark of peril on dress or person, but stalwart and strong as ever, he stood there looking at her with contempt and compassion struggling in his face. As if turned to stone, she remained motionless, with dilated eyes, arrested breath, and paling cheek. He did not speak, but watched her silently, till she put out a trembling hand as if to assure herself by touch that it was really he. Then he drew back, and as if the act convinced as fully as words, she said, slowly, "They told me you were dead." "And you were glad to believe it?" "No, it was my comrade, young Courtney, who unconsciously deceived you all, and lost his life as I should have done, if I had not gone to Ascot after seeing him off yesterday." "To Ascot?" echoed Jean, shrinking back, for Edward's eye was on her, and his voice was stern and cold. "Yes, you know the place. I went there to make inquiries concerning you, and was well satisfied. Why are you still here?" "The 3 days are not over yet. I hold you to your promise. Before night I shall be gone. Till then you will be silent, if you have honor enough to keep your word." "I have." Edward took out his watch, and as he put it back, said, with cool precision, "It is now 2. The train leaves for London at 6:30. A carriage will wait for you at the side door. Allow me to advise you to go then, for the instant dinner is over, I shall speak." And with a bow he went into the house, leaving Jean nearly suffocated with a throng of contending emotions. For a few minutes she seemed paralyzed, but the native energy of the woman forbade utter despair till the last hope was gone. Frail as that now was, she still clung to it tenaciously, resolving to win the game in defiance of everything. Springing up, she went to her room, packed her few valuables, dressed herself with care, and then sat down to wait. She heard a joyful stir below, saw Coventry hurrying back, and from a garrulous maid learned that the body was that of young Courtney. The uniform being the same as Edward's, and the ring, a gift from him, had caused the men to believe the disfigured corpse to be that of the younger Coventry. But no one but the maid came near her. Once Bella's voice called her, but someone checked the girl, and the call was not repeated. At 5, an envelope was brought her, directed in Edward's hand, and containing a check which more than paid a year's salary. No word accompanied the gift, yet the generosity of it touched her, for Jean Muir had the relics of a once honest nature, and despite her falsehood, could still admire nobleness and respect virtue. A tear of genuine shame dropped on the paper, and real gratitude filled her heart, as she thought that even if all else failed, she was not thrust out penniless into the world, which had no pity for poverty. We have to remember, probably what Edward knows about her is that her identity is false and that she is an actress and not a highborn. Well, actually, Edward never even heard the lie about her being Lady Howard's orphan daughter. So Edward, to his credit, proposed to her when he didn't even think she was highborn, but he thought she was like herself, a 19-year-old governess as opposed to a 30-year-old actress. But possibly, like, he doesn't know that she is trying to get Sir John to marry her, right? And he proposed to her and she turned him down. So from Edward's point of view, he might still be seeing her as like, okay, well, she's deceitful and shouldn't be in the house, but she did turn me down, and maybe she's just desperate for a good placement, or, you know, like, so it kind of makes sense how Edward might still have a bit of pity for her, because unless I'm mistaken, I don't think he knows like the depths of how manipulative she's being, just that she's lied about who she is, right? So, okay. As the clock struck 6, she heard a carriage drive around and went down to meet it. A servant put on her trunk, gave the order, "To the station, James," and she drove away without meeting anyone, speaking to anyone, or apparently being seen by anyone. A sense of utter weariness came over her, and she longed to lie down and forget. But the last chance still remained. Until that failed, she would not give up. Dismissing the carriage, she seated herself to watch for the 6:15 train from London, for in that Sir John would come, if he came at all that night. Oh, she was haunted by the fear that Edward had met and told him. The first glimpse of Sir John's frank face would betray the truth. If he knew all, there was no hope, and she would go her way alone. If he knew nothing, there was yet time for the marriage, and once his wife, she knew she was safe, because for the honor of his name he would screen and protect her. Up rushed the train. Out stepped Sir John, and Jean's heart died within her. Grave and pale and worn he looked, and leaned heavily on the arm of a portly gentleman in black. The Reverend Mr. Fairfax. Why has he come if the secret is out? Thought Jean, slowly advancing to meet them and fearing to read her fate in Sir John's face. He saw her, dropped his friend's arm, and hurried forward with the ardor of a young man, exclaiming as he seized her hand with a beaming face, a glad voice, "Oh, my little girl, did you think I would never come?" She could not answer. The reaction was too strong, but she clung to him regardless of time or place, and felt that her last hope had not failed. Mr. Fairfax proved himself equal to the occasion. Asking no questions, he hurried Sir John and Jean into a carriage and stepped in after them with a bland apology. Jean was soon herself again, and, having told her fears at his delay, listened eagerly while he related the various mishaps which had detained him. "Have you seen Edward?" was her first question. "Not yet, but I know he has come, and have heard of his narrow escape. I should have been in that train if I had not been delayed by the indisposition which I then cursed, but now bless. Are you ready, Jean? Do you repent your choice, my child?" "Oh, no, I am ready. I am only too happy to become your wife, dear, generous Sir John," cried Jean with a glad alacrity which touched the old man to the heart, and charmed the Reverend Mr. Fairfax, who concealed the romance of a boy under his clerical suit. They reached the hall. Sir John gave orders to admit no one, and, after a hasty dinner, sent for his old housekeeper and his steward, told them of his purpose, and desired them to witness his marriage. Obedience had been the law of their lives, and master could do nothing wrong in their eyes, so they played their parts willingly, for Jean was a favorite at the hall. Pale as her gown, but calm and steady, she stood beside Sir John, uttering her vows in a clear tone, and taking upon herself the vows of a wife with more than a bride's usual docility. When the ring was fairly on, a smile broke over her face. When Sir John kissed and called her his little wife, she shed a tear or two of sincere happiness, and when Mr. Fairfax addressed her as "my lady," she laughed her musical laugh and glanced up at a picture of Gerald with eyes full of exultation. As the servants left the room, a message was brought from Mrs. Coventry, begging Sir John to come to her at once. Oh my goodness. Oh, the back and forth, the emotional whiplash. Oh man. It's well done by the author, right? Because Jean herself is going through all this emotional whiplash, right? "You will not go and leave me so soon," pleaded Jean, well knowing why he was sent for. "My darling, I must." And in spite of its tenderness, Sir John's manner was too decided to be withstood. You can't believe anyone thought this was written by a man. I mean, if a lot of women at the time were writing under men's names, then maybe it was just accepted that, like, men could really skillfully write women, you know? But they were actually women all along writing them. "Then I shall go with you," cried Jean, resolving that no earthly power should part them. End of chapter. Oh my god. You guys, okay. She's gonna go back to the house where all the family is on the arm of Sir John. Edward's gonna out her, and we're gonna see what Sir John does. They have not banged yet, which, like, I don't know exactly what the marriage laws were. It hasn't been. She's banking on the fact that, like, his pride and his good name, since there were witnesses, including the Reverend, that he won't, like, ditch her. When will the shoe drop? I know. Well, this is the last chapter, you guys. Artax, thank you. Has she been planning a consummation? I mean, it would be in her best interest to do it as quickly as possible. Okay. Chapter 9. Lady Coventry. It's so interesting to have, like especially for the time, to have, which, like, on the surface feels like a very, like, oh, it's like a Jane Austen romance book, except for it's from the point of view of, like, the bad guy. The bad girl carries different connotations, but you know what I mean? She's like the villain of the story. It's very interesting. Okay. Chapter 9. Lady Coventry. When the first excitement of Edward's return had subsided, and before they could question him as to the cause of this unexpected visit, he told them that, after dinner, their curiosity should be gratified, and, meantime, he begged them to leave Miss Muir alone, for she had received bad news, and must not be disturbed. The family, with difficulty, restrained their tongues, and waited impatiently. Gerald confessed his love for Jean, and asked his brother's pardon for betraying his trust. He had expected an outbreak, but Edward only looked at him with pitying eyes and said, sadly, "You too. I have no reproaches to make, for I know what you will suffer when the truth is known." "What do you mean?" demanded Coventry. "You will know soon, my poor Gerald, and we will comfort one another." Nothing more could be drawn from Edward till dinner was over, the servants gone, and all the family alone together. Then, pale and grave, but very self-possessed, for trouble had made a man of him, he produced a packet of letters and said, addressing himself to his brother,
Jean Weir has deceived us all. I know her story. Let me tell it before I read her letters. Oh, stop. I'll not listen to any false tales against her. The poor girl has enemies who belie her, cried Gerald, starting up. For the honor of the family, you must listen and learn what fools she has made of us. I can prove what I say and convince you that she has the art of a devil. Sit still 10 minutes, then go if you will. Edward spoke with authority, and his brother obeyed him with a foreboding heart. I met Sydney, and he begged me to beware of her. Nay, listen, Gerald. I know she has told her story, and that you believe it, but her own letters convict her. She tried to charm Sydney as she did us, and nearly succeeded in inducing him to marry her. Rash and wild as he is still a gentleman, and when an incautious word of hers roused his suspicions, he refused to make her his wife. A stormy scene ensued, and hoping to intimidate him, she feigned to stab herself, as if in despair. She did wound herself, but failed to gain her point and insisted upon going to a hospital to die. Lady Sydney, good, simple soul, believed the girl's version of the story, thought her son was in the wrong, and when he was gone, tried to atone for his fault by finding Jean Weir another home. She thought Gerald was soon to marry Lucia, and that I was away, so sent her here as a safe and comfortable retreat. But Ned, are you sure you believe all this? Is Sydney to be believed? Began Coventry, still incredulous. To convince you, I'll read Jean's letters before I say more. They were written to an accomplice and were purchased by Sydney. There was a compact between the two women that each should keep the other informed of all adventures, plots, and plans, and share whatever good fortune fell to the lot of either. Thus Jean wrote freely, as you shall judge. The letters concern us alone. The first was written a few days after she came. Dear Hortense, another failure. Sydney was more wily than I thought. All was going well when one day my old fault beset me. I took too much wine, and I carelessly owned that I had been an actress. He was shocked and retreated. I got up a scene and gave myself a safe little wound to frighten him. The brute was not frightened, but coolly left me to my fate. I'd have died despite him if I dared, but as I didn't, I lived to torment him. As yet, I have had no chance, but I will not forget him. His mother is a poor, weak creature, whom I could use as I would, and through her I found an excellent place. A sick mother, silly daughter, and 2 eligible sons. One is engaged to a handsome iceberg, but that only renders him more interesting in my eyes. Rivalry adds so much to the charm of one's conquests. Well, my dear, I got up in the meek style, intending to do the pathetic, but before I saw the family, I was so angry that I could hardly control myself. Through the indolence of Monsieur the young master, no carriage was sent for me, and I intend he shall atone for that rudeness by and by. The younger son, the mother, and the girl received me patronizingly, and I understood the simple souls at once. Monsieur, as I shall call him, as names are unsafe, was unapproachable, and took no pains to conceal his dislike of governesses. The cousin was lovely, but detestable with her pride, her coldness, and a very visible adoration of Monsieur, who let her worship him, like an inanimate idol as he is. I hated them both, of course, and in return for their insolence shall torment her with jealousy, and teach him how to woo a woman by making his heart ache. They are an intensely proud family, but I can humble them all, I think, by
captivating the sons, and when they have committed themselves, cast them off, and marry the old uncle, whose title takes my fancy. She never wrote that. It is impossible. A woman could not do it, cried Lucia indignantly, while Bella sat bewildered, and Mrs. Coventry supported herself with salts and fan. Coventry went to his brother, examined the writing, and returned to his seat, saying in a tone of suppressed wrath, "She did write it. I posted some of those letters myself. Go on, Ned." I made myself useful and agreeable to the amiable ones, and overheard the chat of the lovers. It did not suit me, so I fainted away to stop it, and excite interest in the provoking pair. I thought I had succeeded, but Monsieur suspected me and showed me that he did. I forgot my meek role and gave him a stage look. It had a good effect, and I shall try it again. The man is well worth winning, but I prefer the title, and as the uncle is a hale, handsome man, I can't wait for him to die, though Monsieur is very charming with his elegant languor, and his heart so fast asleep no woman has had power to wake it yet. I told my story, and they believed it, though I had the audacity to say I was but 19, to talk Scotch, and bashfully confess that Sydney wished to marry me. Monsieur knows Sydney and evidently suspects something. I must watch him and keep the truth from him, if possible. I was very miserable that night when I got alone. Something in the atmosphere of this happy home made me wish I was anything but what I am. As I sat there, trying to pluck up my spirits, I thought of the days when I was lovely and young, good and gay. My glass showed me an old woman of 30. For my false locks were off, my paint gone, and my face was without its mask. How I hate sentiment. I drank your health from your own little flask, and went to bed to dream that I was playing Lady Tartuffe, as I am. Adieu, more soon. No one spoke, as Edward paused, and taking up another letter, he read on. My dear creature, all goes well. Next day I began my task, and having caught a hint of the characters of each, I tried my power over them. Early in the morning I ran over to see the hall, approved of it highly, and took the first step toward becoming its mistress by piquing the curiosity and flattering the pride of its master. His estate is his idol. I praised it with a few artless compliments to himself, and he was charmed. The cadet of the family adores horses. I risked my neck to pet his beast, and he was charmed. The little girl is romantic about flowers. I made a posy and was sentimental, and she was charmed. The fair icicle loves her departed mamma. I had raptures over an old picture, and she thawed. Monsieur is used to being worshipped. I took no notice of him, and by the natural perversity of human nature, he began to take notice of me. He likes music. I sang, and stopped when he'd listened long enough to want more. Oh, he is lazily fond of being amused. I showed him my skill, but refused to exert it in his behalf. In short, I gave him no peace till he began to wake up. In order to get rid of the boy, I fascinated him, and he was sent away. Poor lad, I rather liked him, and if the title had been nearer, would have married him. Many thanks for the honor, and Edward's lip curled with intense scorn. But Gerald sat like a statue, his teeth set, his eyes fiery, his brows bent, waiting for the end. The passionate boy nearly killed his brother, but I turned the affair to good account, and bewitched Monsieur by playing nurse, till Vashti, the icicle, interfered. Then I enacted injured virtue, and kept out of his way, knowing that he would miss me. I mystified him about S by sending a letter where S would not get it, and got up all manner of soft scenes to win this proud creature. I get on well, and meanwhile privately fascinate Sir J by being daughterly and devoted. He is a worthy old man, simple as a child, honest as the day, and generous as a prince. I shall be a happy woman if I win him, and you shall share my good fortune. So wish me success. This is the third, and contains something which will surprise you, Edward said as he lifted another paper. Hortense, I've done what I once planned to do on another occasion. You know, my handsome, dissipated father married a lady of rank for his second wife. I never saw Lady Howard but once, for I was kept out of the way. Finding that this good Sir J knew something of her when a girl, and being sure that he did not know of the death of her little daughter, I boldly said I was the child, and told a pitiful tale of my early life. It worked like a charm. He told Monsieur, and both felt the most chivalrous compassion for Lady Howard's daughter. Though before they had secretly looked down on me, and my real poverty and my lowliness, that boy pitied me with an honest warmth, and never waited to learn my birth. I don't forget that, and shall repay it if I can. Wishing to bring Monsieur's affair to a successful crisis, I got up a theatrical evening, and was in my element. One little event I must tell you, because I committed an actionable offense and was nearly discovered. I did not go down to supper, knowing that the moth would return to flutter about the candle, and preferring that the fluttering should be done in private, as Vashti's jealousy is getting uncontrollable. Passing through the gentleman's dressing room, my quick eye caught sight of a letter lying among the costumes. It was no stage affair, and an odd sensation of fear ran through me as I recognized the hand of S. I'd feared this, but I believe in chance, and having found the letter, I examined it. You know I can imitate almost any hand. When I read in this paper the whole story of my affair with S, truly told, and also that he had made inquiries into my past life and discovered the truth, I was in a fury. To be so near success and fail was terrible, and I resolved to risk everything. I opened the letter by means of a heated knife blade under the seal. Therefore, the envelope was perfect. Imitating S.'s hand, I penned a few lines in his hasty style, saying that he was at Baden, so that if Monsieur answered, the reply would not reach him, for he is in London, it seems. This letter I put into the pocket whence the other must have fallen, and was just congratulating myself on this narrow escape, when Dean, the maid of Vashti, appeared as if watching me. She had evidently seen the letter in my hand and suspected something. I took no notice of her, but must be careful, for she is on the watch. After this evening closed with strictly private theatricals, in which Monsieur and myself were the only actors, to make sure that he received my version of the story first, I told him a romantic story of S.'s persecution, and he believed it. This I followed up by a moonlight episode behind a rose hedge, and sent the young gentleman home in a half-dazed condition. What fools men are. She is right, muttered Coventry, who had flushed Charlotte. No, not Charlotte. Who had flushed scarlet with shame and anger as his folly became known, and Lucia listened in astonished silence. Only one more, and my distasteful task will be nearly over, said Edward, unfolding the last of the papers. This is not a letter, but a copy of one written 3 nights ago. Dean boldly ransacked Jean Weir's desk while she was at the hall, and, fearing to betray the deed by keeping the letter, she made a hasty copy, which she gave me today, begging me to save the family from disgrace. This makes the chain complete. Go now if you will, Gerald. I would gladly spare you the pain of hearing this. I will not spare myself. I deserve it. Read on, replied Coventry, guessing what was to follow and nerving himself to hear it. Reluctantly, his brother read these lines. The enemy has surrendered. Give me joy, Hortense. I can be the wife of this proud monsieur, if I will. I think what an honor for the divorced wife of a disreputable actor. Oh, she's divorced as well. Okay. I laugh at the farce and enjoy it, for I only wait till the prize I desire is fairly mine, to turn and reject this lover who's proved himself false to brother, mistress, and his own conscience. I resolved to be revenged on both, and I have kept my word. For my sake he cast off the beautiful woman who truly loved him. He forgot his promise to his brother, and put by his pride to beg of me the worn-out heart that is not worth a good man's love. Oh well, I am satisfied, for Vashti has suffered the sharpest pain a proud woman can endure, and will feel another pang when I tell her that I scorn her recreant lover, and give him back to her, to deal with as she will. Coventry started from his seat with a fierce exclamation, but Lucia bowed her face upon her hands, weeping, as if the pang had been sharper than even Jean foresaw. Oh my god, you guys. Very clever of the author to let us all in on her being a fraud from the start. Makes it very interesting. Yes, exactly, and on. This would not have worked as a story otherwise. Like, oh yeah, this was really well written. Really well written. Hi, Gelfie. Hi, Oni Papa. Okay, yeah. 30 and divorced. Okay. Send for Sir John. I'm mortally afraid of this creature. Take her away. Do something to her. Oh, my poor Bella, what a companion for you. Send for Sir John at once, cried Mrs. Coventry incoherently, and clasped her daughter in her arms as if Jane Muir would burst in to annihilate the whole family. Edward alone was calm. I have already sent, and while we wait, let me finish this story. It is true that Jean is the daughter of Lady Howard's husband, the pretended clergyman, but really a worthless man who married her for her money. Her own child died, but this girl, having beauty, wit, and a bold spirit, took her fate into her own hands and became an actress. She married an actor, led a reckless life for some years, quarreled with her husband, was divorced and went to Paris, left the stage and tried to support herself as governess and companion. You know how she fared with the Sidneys, how she has duped us. But for this discovery, would have duped Sir John. I was in time to prevent this, thank heaven. She is gone. No one knows the truth but Sidney and ourselves. He will be silent for his own sake. We will be for ours, and leave this dangerous woman to the fate which will surely overtake her. Thank you. It has overtaken her, and a very happy one she finds it. A soft voice uttered the words, and an apparition appeared at the door, which made all start and recoil with amazement. Jean Muir, leaning on the arm of Sir John. Oh, shit. How dare you return, began Edward, losing the self-control so long preserved. How dare you insult us by coming back to enjoy the mischief you have done? Uncle, you do not know that woman. Hush, boy. I will not listen to a word unless you remember where you are, said Sir John, with a commanding gesture. Remember your promise. Love me, forgive me, protect me, and do not listen to their accusations. whispered Jean, whose quick eye had discovered the letters.
I will. Have no fears, my child, he answered, drawing her nearer as he took his accustomed place before the fire, always lighted when Mrs. Coventry was down. Gerald, who had been pacing the room excitedly, paused behind Lucia's chair as if to shield her from insult. Bella clung to her mother, and Edward, calming himself by a strong effort, handed his uncle the letters, saying briefly, "Look at those, sir, and let them speak." "I will look at nothing, hear nothing, believe nothing which can in any way lessen my respect and affection for this young lady. She has prepared me for this. I know the enemy who is unmanly enough to belie and threaten her. I know that you both are unsuccessful lovers, and this explains your unjust, uncourteous treatment now. We all have committed faults and follies. I freely forgive Jean hers, and desire to know nothing of them from your lips. If she has innocently offended, pardon it for my sake, and forget the past." "But, uncle, we have proofs that this woman is not what she seems. Her own letters convict her." "Read them, and do not blindly deceive yourself," cried Edward, indignant at his uncle's words. A low laugh startled them all, and in an instant they saw the cause of it. While Sir John spoke, Jean had taken the letters from the hand which he had put behind him, a favorite gesture of his, and, unobserved, had dropped them on the fire. The mocking laugh, the sudden blaze, showed what had been done. Both young men sprang forward, but it was too late. The proofs were ashes, and Jean Muir's bold, bright eyes defied them, as she said, with a disdainful little gesture, "Hands off, gentlemen. You may degrade yourself to the work of detectives, but I am not a prisoner yet. Poor Jean Muir you might harm, but Lady Coventry is beyond your reach."
Oh, shit. Oh, I mean, she's an act. She knows how to deliver a line. God damn. "Lady Coventry," echoed the dismayed family, in varying tones of incredulity, indignation, and amazement. "Aye, my dear and honored wife," said Sir John, with a protecting arm about the slender figure at his side. And in the act, the words, there was a tender dignity that touched the listeners with pity and respect for the deceived man. "Receive her as such, and for my sake, forbear all further accusation," he continued steadily. "I know what I have done. I have no fear that I shall repent it. If I am blind, let me remain so till time opens my eyes." He's like, I don't even care if it is true. I have a young wife. I mean, young to him, regardless. She may be a lot older than she told them, but she's still like 20 years younger than him, so. "We are going away for a little while, and when we return, let the old life return again, unchanged, except that Jean makes sunshine for me as well as for you." Yeah, he's like, let me enjoy my honeymoon. No one spoke, for no one knew what to say. Jean broke the silence, saying coolly, "May I ask how those letters came into your possession?" "I'm tracing out your past life. Sydney found your friend Hortense. She was poor, money bribed her, and your letters were given up to him as soon as received. Traitors are always betrayed in the end," replied Edward sternly. Jean shrugged her shoulders and shot a glance at Gerald, saying with her significant smile, "Remember that, monsieur, and allow me to hope that in wedding, you will be happier than in wooing. Receive my congratulations, Miss Beaufort, and let me beg of you to follow my example, if you would keep your lovers." Here all the sarcasm passed from her voice, the defiance from her eye, and the one unspoiled attribute which still lingered in this woman's artful nature shone in her face as she turned toward Edward and Bella at their mother's side. "You have been kind to me," she said with grateful warmth. "I thank you for it, and will repay it if I can. To you I will acknowledge that I am not worthy to be this good man's wife, and to you I will solemnly promise to devote my life to his happiness. For his sake, forgive me, and let there be peace between us." There was no reply, but Edward's indignant eyes fell before hers. Bella half put out her hand, and Mrs. Coventry sobbed as if some regret mingled with her resentment. Jane seemed to expect no friendly demonstration, and to understand that they forbore for Sir John's sake, not for hers, and to accept their contempt of her. Oh, and to accept their contempt as her just punishment. "Come home, love, and forget all this," said her husband, ringing the bell and eager to be gone. "Lady Coventry's carriage." And as he gave the order, a smile broke over her face, for the sound assured her that the game was won. Pausing an instant on the threshold before she vanished from their sight, she looked backward, and fixing on Gerald the strange glance he remembered well, she said, in her penetrating voice, "Is not the last scene better than the first?" The end. She gets away with it. Oh shit. She fucking pulls it off. Damn, I did not see that happening. Artex, thank you for the 100 biddies. I really thought that she was like gonna be exposed in the— oh my god, she fucking did it. And look, she's horrible. But I enjoyed her as a character, you know, like obviously I wouldn't want someone like that in my life, but what a great character that, like, even though I was like, what a horrible person, part of me is like admiring the hustle, you know? Oh, yeah. Holy shit. That was so good. It was so well written. Oh my god. Oh my god. And it honestly, like, it surprised me. Like, there were multiple moments where I was like, whoa, that's not what I expected. Little twists and turns, like I was saying, emotional whiplash. Damn. How the letters get read right before she burns them. But, like, if the letters had been destroyed before Edward could burn them, then it would have been like, it would have been less satisfying, because everyone would have assumed Edward was lying because he's butthurt. Gerald wouldn't have believed Edward, and he would have been heartbroken about Jean. But because Gerald heard the letters, he, like, stops loving Jean because he's so appalled by all of this. So he doesn't have to, like, I don't know, damn, her last words to Lucia as well, basically like, here you go, dear, you can have him back, my congratulations, take my advice, and, like, get him to put a ring on it quickly, because you need to hold on to your men better. But now Lucia is faced with, like, does she take him back, knowing that he, like, you know, like, the spite that went into that was just for spite, you know? That she made Gerald dump her so that even if they get back together, she will always remember that he had dumped her and chose Jean first. She promised to hurt her and she did. Yeah. It was not just like someone, like a lower class woman being like, okay, I want to marry high and like secure a nice life or whatever. She's also spiteful. Yeah. Like, it wasn't just about being a gold digger. She's also, some of it was just to punish people. Oh yeah, Leia. Like, 30 is young in today's view, but I mean, it still would be weird if like a 30-year-old woman was, and this happens all the time on the internet, but people think it's weird if like a 30-year-old woman is pretending to be 19. Like, 30's not old, but it's a big difference from 19, you know? I don't think she's gonna kill the old man. Like, I think she genuinely likes him. She's not in love with him, but I think she genuinely is fine with just being married to him. I don't know if she'll change her mind at some point and like poison him, but I don't really know like how secure her title is if he dies, especially if she hasn't had any kids. Like, it probably behooves her to have him alive. Yeah. Frog. Oh my god, that was so enjoyable, you guys. Sir John would look worse if he rejected her. Like, rejected her after learning all of that, or rejected her like when she first betrayed her fake feelings. Yeah, he gets a young to him wife. She's older than both the brothers, I'm pretty sure. Definitely older than Edward. I think she's older than Gerald too, but she's like a couple decades younger than Sir John. So he gets a young wife who can read him history books and keep him company, and like he seems totally fine with the fact that maybe she's swindling him a bit. I mean, this happens all the time. I think there are lots of like gold digger situations where the person who has the gold knows that their like new spouse or new partner is into them for them. Like, they know it, and they're like, you know what? That's fine. I get something out of this arrangement too, even if it's not true love, or they're happy to let themselves be, to pull the wool over their own eyes, kind of. Hi, Pisces. Welcome in, you guys. Hello. Thank you for the raid. Sierra, thank you for the follow. Hi, Flannel. Hi, Jerome. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Violent Carrot. Hi, Todd. Hi, Kev. Hi, Croft. Hi, Sweet Boken. You guys, make sure you're following the incomparable Pisces, who is just such a cozy, lovely, friendly, funny, awesome ASMR artist and streamer. Hello! Oh my god, Pi, we just finished a book, and I was on fucking tenterhooks. Oh my god, it was so well written. Holy shit. It was so good. So good. Violent Carrot, thank you for the sub. 3 months now. What an amazing 3 months it's been. Oh, Violent Carrot, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Oh my god. Yeah. Will it be on YouTube? It is already. I'm multi-streaming on YouTube, so I will put it into a playlist. And eventually it will be edited so that all the chit chat is, you know, cut out of it. But for now, I'll make a playlist at least that's just of the VODs, you know. Damn. That book just exceeded my expectations. That was so, so good. Photomac, thank you for the follow. So, so good. Oh my god. I just get this like jazzed up energy from good literature. God damn, it was so well done. Like good story, but like also well written. It was just, oh, I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled. Are you going to sleep, Grands? Aw, good night, Grands. Thank you for hanging out. Sam, yes, happy St. Patrick's Day. We did our St. Patrick's Day last night, actually. We read from Irish mythology. We read some Tales of Finn McCool, which is also up on the YouTube channel. If you would like to, if you missed it and you'd like to hear some Irish mythology. Sweet Vulcan, thank you for gifting a sub to Pisces. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. Oh man. And I'm so glad that we were able to finish the book tonight because I'm actually going out of town tomorrow. And I'll be keeping to my streaming schedule, but I think I'm going to hold off on us starting a new book until I'm back. So there's going to be a week of laptop streams from a different location that we'll just be doing ASMR and maybe some like whispered reading, but not like starting a whole new book. So I'm really, really glad we were able to finish this. Writing retreat? Oh, if only pie. No, it's some unhappy family stuff, but how did literature consumers figure out that male pseudonyms were female authors? Like, was there a way? So I haven't looked into how exactly they found this one out, but maybe it was by like comparing writing styles. Yeah. Oh, but okay, speaking of writing retreat though, oh, wait, check it out. Check out my manuscript. These are 2 sections. I have to check out my manuscript. I'm gonna be bringing this with me and working on it while I'm out of town. Obviously, I can work on my laptop as well, but I'm at the point of like wanting to check it out on the page. So, yay! So, not a writing retreat, but hopefully I'll get some writing done. The story had you rooting it on like you're watching a football right, Miss Snapester? Like it was, there was such a good like momentum. And also I love that it was just 9 chapters, you know? It didn't need to be longer than that. It was just like, yeah, it was great. Do 1984 or The Creature from Jekyll Island? Wait, that feels like a mishmash. The Creature from Jekyll Island? I mean, I've read Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I've read The Island of Dr. Moreau. Is the other one supposed to be like The Creature from the Black Lagoon? Or did you print that out at home? Yes, but I have a laser printer, so toner instead of ink. Yeah. Historical documentaries give you those vibes. I'll say, right. Hi, Jono. Hello. Carmilla and Jean Weir fanfic. Oh my god. Carmilla would win. Look. Lying actress versus centuries-old vampire? There's no contest. Like, yes, Jean Weir is manipulative, but Carmilla's a freaking vampire, okay? The Creature from Jekyll Island is a conspiracy theory about the founding of the U.S. tax system. What the fuck? I'm Canadian. That's okay. Why are you asking me about that? What did you say? What book you're doing next? No, we haven't decided yet. So again, we'll be starting the next book in like. Okay, let me pull up a little calendar. We'll be starting the next book on Sunday the 29th. So unfortunately that's usually we start a book like right after, or maybe with like one stream in between, but I am going to be out of town. I may do some reading of like some short stories or poetry, or more like whispered, like even more ASMR-y reading. But yeah, probably won't start a new book until Sunday after next. And as for what it will be, we could read the next Oz book. We've been working our way through the Wizard of Oz series. I am Canadian, yeah. Should we read the next Oz book? Play some Frank Baum bingo? Yeah, that could be fun. Writing a book? Are you writing a book, Card? Yeah, we haven't hated on Dorothy in a hot minute, yeah. The next one is the story of, it's about TikTok. And it has a different main character, but Dorothy lives in Oz now, so she'll show up and take over the show just like she did in the last one. What, Parathis, you didn't know that I'm Canadian? Really? Even despite me having this command? Despite that? There's some shorter works from Burroughs if you don't want to do Tarzan or Princess from Mars. Yeah, okay, if you could suggest any, I'd be interested in that. It's just that Princess from Mars is like quite long and I'm going to be like going back and forth. Maybe you're just really passionate about Canada. I mean, fair. And the way she says bagel. Shut up. Why read more Frank Baum when you could read more Carolyn Keene? I mean, that too. We could read the next Nancy Drew book. Guy whose special interest is Maple Leafs and also Canada Geese. Miss Snavester, thank you so much for hanging out. It was very nice to meet you. I hope that we see you again. Miss Snavester, I might not be going live on this YouTube channel for like the next week. Make sure you're following the Twitch channel if you want to catch my content in the meantime. So, yeah, because I'm going to be streaming from my laptop over the next week, and I don't think it can handle multi-streaming. So, don't get her wound up about beanies either. You mean toques? You mean toques? I'm extremely bad at it. To be fair, I have one of the less obvious Canadian accents. It's a lot more neutral, and by neutral I mean like closer to like just like a West Coast TV accent kind of thing. You know, like sometimes a more Canadian accent comes out, but like I've like I remember when I was traveling like in Europe and I was like, wait, I hear people with my accent, but they were actually from Seattle. So it's just that West Coast accent that ends up on TV a lot, so it isn't picked up on as much. Dizzy, thank you for that 10 stream streak. Thank you. The stream is tagged Canadian and Canada too. Yeah, gotta show my Canadian pride. Get her wound up. Yeah, what was it that brought my Canadian accent really out recently during one of the past laptop streams? Oh, you guys were asking if who would win in a fight, Australian kangaroo or a Canadian moose? I was like, a moose, bud. Be a fucking moose, bud. Okay, I'm going to wrap up the YouTube streams. We won't be going for too much longer on Twitch, but stick around on Twitch. Let me just end the YouTube streams though. Thank you so much to everyone who watched on Twitch, whether you're watching during the live or watching the VODs after the fact. If you've enjoyed it, please consider dropping a sub. That's the free option on YouTube, so that would help me out so much. Both subs and watch hours are the two metrics that I'm working on to be able to qualify for the YouTube partner program, so I very much appreciate it. If anyone on Twitch right now is not subbed to my YouTube channels, I do have two. Oops. Oh, thank you. Oh, the first one, the two YouTube channel links. The first one is the one I'm live on now. That's where you will find a reading. The second of those links you will find more like traditional ASMR triggers. If anyone wants to sub, that would be absolutely amazing. Like I was saying, I may not be live on this YouTube channel for like a week and a half, but I will be going live on Twitch and sticking to my schedule. So if you are someone that just would like to catch my content, even if it's not like us reading our way through a book, then make sure you are following Twitch, which Sean has very kindly posted the link into the YouTube chat. Okay, all right. Also check out if you missed the Irish mythology, that video just got posted today. Okay, bye YouTube. I'll see you